Chapter 662. Fatty Chin turned around abruptly. When he saw that familiar face, his eyes turned red and his nose turned sour. Without hesitation, he knelt down on one knee and spoke in a deep voice. Tiamat cult elder, Fatty Chin, greets the patriarch. Boom. That one knee landed heavily on the ground, and a crack even appeared on the ground. The middle-aged man was full of reverence. How does he know that the patriarch is the patriarch? Tian seemed to be saying a tongue twister, but everyone knew what he was trying to say. They all knew that the reason Ning Tian was called the founder was because he was the husband of the empress of the heavenly demon cult. That was why he was called the founder. But the middle-aged man in front of them was also a member of the Tianma cult. Judging from his appearance and the time he was frozen, even if he was also a member of the Tianma cult, his qualifications and status were definitely higher than Luo Wuqing and the others. Most importantly, he had been frozen for so long. How could he recognize Ning Tian's identity at a glance? Even the two women at the side were stunned. Don't be surprised. Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile as he looked at everyone from the heavenly demon cult in the divine domain. He looked at all of them and chuckled. Because I am the patriarch of the heavenly demon cult and also the founder of the Tianma cult. Hearing this, Tian and the others were dumbfounded. They couldn't wrap their heads around it. Why was the patriarch called the patriarch? Was it because he was the husband of the empress, or because he was the founder of the Tianma cult? I see. The law of time and the law of space. I didn't expect things to be like this. Luo Wuqing and Sui Weiyao both murmured. With their intelligence, they finally understood what was going on. When Ning Tian said that he saw Luo Wuqing's father stealing, the two women didn't believe him. But now, it seemed that Ning Tian was telling the truth. It was just that the time to steal was not now. Perhaps there was a mutation in the laws of space and time, and during the 2 years Ning Tian had disappeared, there was a high possibility that this mutation had happened to him, and because of it, he had returned to the past in terms of time or to a certain extent. He met certain people and did certain things. As a result, this explained why the ice god, who had lived for 1,000,000 years, called Ning Tian master, and why the frozen elder of the Tianma cult knew that he was the patriarch at first sight. No wonder. Why do I say that there are some strange rules in the cult? Luo Wuqing glanced at Ning Tian. Previously, she had noticed that the person who became the cult master's husband would have to be addressed as ancestral master by the cult members. At first, she felt that it was strange. Why would there be such an awkward way of addressing him? It turned out that everything was a path that Ning Tian had paved for herself. Ahem. Ning Tian gave a dry cough. Indeed, he wrote this rule himself so that it would not affect the future. The other rules were written by the elders of the Tianma cult. As expected of my wife, you are indeed smart. Ning Tian chuckled and looked at the two women. Then, he raised his eyebrows. But, aren't you guys surprised? What are you surprised about? Didn't you tell us not to be surprised? Luo Wuqing rolled her eyes at Ning Tian. Ning Tian. Oh wow, there was no reward. On the side, seeing the two women suddenly enlightened, Tian and the others were confused. What and what? What rules? What does it mean? Are we not on the same channel? Why can't I understand it all? Roar. On the other side, the ceiling flame Lion King roared in realization. Lion King, do you understand? Old Su asked softly. Roar? Roar. The Lion King pointed and wrote the words in the shape of a lion. And what do you know? Pretending to know when you don't. This makes Master Lion seem smarter. Everyone's eyes lit up. You can do this? I've learned it. Fatty Chin, how many years has it been since we last met? Ning Tian ignored the group of people who were led astray by the Lion King. He looked at Fatty Chin, helped him up from the ground, and asked with a smile. Ancestral Master, it has been 1,000,000 years. Fatty Chin's eyes were red. Although he looked much older than Ning Tian, in his heart, the Ancestral Master would always be the Ancestral Master who taught him. 1,000,000 years. Ning Tian let out a long sigh. Yes, 1,000,000 years. But to him, it was only a few years. But to Ling, Fatty Chin, and the people of Qin village, That was a genuine 1 million years old. Damn, a million years. On the side. Hearing this, Tion and the others were dumbfounded. The ancestral master was an old monster who had lived for 1 million years? By the way, where are Qin Feng and Qin Qin? I remember that when you failed to cultivate for 2 years, they were the ones who cheered you on. Ning Tian looked at Fatty Qin with a smile. It was clearly 1 million years ago, but he said it as if it was just yesterday. Qin Feng, Qin Qin. Fatty Qin was stunned for a moment, and a bitter smile appeared on his face. They are dead. They died in battle. Hearing this, the smile on Ning Tian's face froze. His expression darkened. The faces of the two children flashed across his mind. Qin Qin was the little girl who had asked him what he wanted to teach at the very beginning. Chapter 640. Qin Qin, unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, he would never see them again? Ning Tian was silent. He had already prepared himself to lose a lot in 1 million years, but when he faced it head-on, he still found it hard to accept. Ancestral Master, you don't have to think too much. Fatty Qin shook his head and said seriously, they died for the Tianma cult. They don't have any regrets. If it wasn't for the Ancestral Master, their lives wouldn't have been so bright. Although they are dead, but at least they have shown. Ning Tian was silent for a moment, then patted Fatty Qin's shoulder with a serious face and sighed. Fatty Qin, you have grown up a lot. You are no longer the little fatty who avoids cultivation. For the Ancestral Master, for the Tianma cult, I have to grow up. Fatty Qin shook his head, and his eyes flashed. After all, I am an elder of the Tianma cult. I can't lose face for the Ancestral Master. After all, I promised you that I would make the heavenly demonic power shine in my hands. Ancestral Master, I, Fatty Qin, did not go back on my words. Yes, you have done very well. Ning Tian nodded. Even after being frozen for a long time, the Tianma cult was still very powerful at this moment. That's right. Ancestral Master, Qin Qin and Qin Feng once told me that they have a message for you when I see you again. Fatty Qin looked at Ning Tian and said slowly, what message? Ning Tian raised an eyebrow. Ancestral Master, we have made the Tianma cult shine, and at the same time, we have done it. And Ancestral Master, thank you. As Fatty Qin's voice fell, the surroundings seemed to fall into a dead silence. Chapter 663. Inside the frozen cave, everyone fell silent when they heard Fatty Qin's words. Their expressions were somewhat moved. It was as if they could see the parting of life and death. It was as if they could see the scene of them smiling and saying thank you to the Ancestral Master before they died. Ning Tian felt a lump in his throat. Although he had only taught these little guys for a little over 2 years, to the little guys of Qin Village, he was the one who changed their lives. He was their unchanging faith from ancient times to ancient times. I know. They did a great job. I am very gratified. Ning Tian nodded solemnly. Because the space-time scissors energy was full, he could not control the time he returned. Therefore, when he left, the Tianjin cult was only in name. He had given the Tianjin cult a shell, but the real ones who had given the Tianjin cult its soul were these little fellows. Don't worry. You have used your blood to build the Tianjin cult. Similarly, I will not let you down. I will let the name of the Tianjin cult resound throughout the entire divine realm and the entire mysterious heaven continent. A glint flashed in Ning Tian's eyes as he muttered to himself. Tian and the others were shocked when they heard those words. They were stunned for a moment before their gazes fell on Ning Tian. Their expressions were incomparably solemn. It was as if they could see the rise of a force that would rule the entire mysterious heaven continent in the future. 10 minutes later, every member of the heavenly demon cult had awakened from their frozen state. Among the several thousand people, there were quite a few who had black marks on their necks, and the elders from Qin Village had already passed away. When everyone woke up and saw Ning Tian, their expressions were extremely serious. Tianma cult Elder Fatty Qin leads the cult to pay our respects to the Ancestral Master. Fatty Qin stood in front of everyone and looked at Ning Tian in awe. He bowed and saluted. Greetings to the ancestral master. Greetings to the ancestral master of the Tianjin cult. Everyone shouted in unison. The scene was so deafening that it was deafening. Detected the power of faith. The heart of humanity has begun beating. Beginning absorption of the light of faith. Current 100,001, 0000. The host's absorption of faith energy has been completed. The host can release the light of faith once. In the hearts of the three races, the heart of the human race has grown. When everyone in the Tianma cult looked at Ning Tian in awe, the system's voice rang out in his mind again. Inside Ning Tian's dantian, the hearts of the three races were also beating wildly with spiritual energy. The heart of humanity was constantly growing stronger. A method of faith in the silhouette? Ning Tian murmured. Then, his eyes flashed as he looked at the group of people from the Tianma cult in the God domain. Everyone, welcome back. Do you have the confidence to make the Tianma cult resound throughout God's domain once more? Do you wish to serve the Tianma cult? In the frozen cave, Ning Tian's voice resounded in the surroundings. We are at your command, ancestral master. Qin Fatty knelt on one knee and said in a deep voice. Behind him, thousands of people knelt on one knee. We are at your command, ancestral master. 1,000,000 years ago, we were members of the Tianma cult. 1,000,000 years later, we are still members of the Tianma cult. Good. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth curled up slightly. In this way, a force had begun to take shape. Di Tian and the Great Void Patriarch couldn't help but smile bitterly. Hiss. If that's the case, even if we don't count the Heavenly Palace and the Ice God of the Southern Frost Starry Sea, the Ancestral Master's own force is already an extremely powerful force. The Tianma cult was now very powerful, and its members were all in the immortal realm. The only thing they lacked was ancient God realm experts. However, Ning Tian did not lack ancient God realm experts behind him. The Tianma cult had completely surpassed them. The Myriad Temple and the Virtual God Palace were not worth mentioning in front of the Tianma cult. How about, let's join the Tianma cult? At the side, Old Su thought about it seriously and then said, Ancestral Master, our Great Void Patriarch said that the Virtual God Palace wants to join the Tianma cult. The Virtual God Palace wants to join the Tianma cult? Ning Tian thought for a moment and then nodded slightly. Okay. In any case, Old Su was considered one of them. The expansion of the Tianma cult was also about annexing forces. Since they wanted to join, he would do as they wished. At the side, the Great Void Patriarch was confused. How could his own sect be gone? Haha. Di Tian looked over with a gloating gaze. At this moment, Di Wuji looked at Ning Tian. Ancestral Master, why don't you let the Myriad Temple join the Tianma cult? The gloating smile on Di Tian's face instantly disappeared. Good fellow. In the blink of an eye, his sect had been sold out. He was really filial. These two little guys. Di Tian and the Great Void Patriarch shook their heads helplessly, but they didn't blame them for making the decision without permission. After all, they had already thought of joining the Ancestral Master. However, the Ancestral Master was the Heavenly Palace. How could the Heavenly Palace join him? But now, since the Ancestral Master had the Tianma cult, they could naturally join him. It was still the same sentence. If they couldn't beat him, then join him. They weren't stupid if they didn't hug his thigh. Now, I can finally have my own force in the divine realm, Ning Tian muttered. Although he was a member of the Heavenly Palace and had the Ice God Palace behind him, these were not what he wanted. What he wanted was his own force. But, the Tianma cult, where should we build it? Ning Tian frowned slightly. For a force to rise, at the very least, it needed a place full of spiritual energy to build it, right? How about building it in the fire domain? Or the demon god domain? At the side, the two girls asked tentatively. Ning Tian was silent for a moment, then shook his head. No need. It's too troublesome. Originally, the precept domain was a good choice, but the spiritual energy in the precept domain has just recovered, and Old Man Dao and the others can't protect themselves. Hearing this, the two girls were silent. Then where was the heavenly demon cult's resting place? Ning Tian frowned and pondered. Suddenly, his eyes fell on a little lion. He narrowed his eyes slightly, and a flash of light flashed in his eyes. Maybe, I have a good idea. Saying this, Ning Tian directly took out the map of the divine realm and found the Big Dipper domain. After looking around, he locked onto a position. This is a small spirit sea, but it is connected to the domain of the Middle Continent, the Blaze domain, the Demon God domain, and even the Precept domain. Even the Heaven domain is very close to this place, and if the Heavenly Demon cult is built here, isn't that very convenient? Hearing this, Luo Wuqing and Sui Weiyao both looked over. After looking around, they found that this spirit sea was connected to these domains, and these domains were all closely related to Ning Tian. If the Tianma cult was built here, it would be very convenient to take care of them. This place is good, and it has an extremely rich spiritual energy, but it is a sea. Do you want to build the Tianma cult on the surface of the sea, or at the bottom of the sea? Sui Weiyao frowned slightly and asked. No, there's no need at all. A smile appeared on Ning Tian's face as she looked at Little Lion. We have the land. Chapter 664. There's land? The Flame Lion King? The two women froze for a moment. Their eyes fell on the Flame Lion King, and everyone else also looked at the little lion. Roar. Burp. Noticing everyone's gazes, the Lion King blinked its eyes in confusion and burped in passing. Let's go. Let's go to that place first. Ning Tian chuckled and didn't explain. She only looked at the crowd and said, Let's go. Yes. Patriarch. Everyone shouted in unison. Let's go. Ning Tian said and was about to turn around, but after seeing Lan Bing and the Winter Spirit Clan, he said to them, You're free. You can return to the Ice God Palace or continue to stay here as the Winter Spirit Clan. However, Lan Bing shook her head. Her gaze landed on Luo Wuqing, and she said in a serious tone, Although our contract with Lord Ice God has been dissolved, our contract with Young Mistress still continues. We will follow Young Mistress. Lan Bing. Luo Wuqing walked over and looked at her. In that case, then, join the Tianma cult? Yes. Lan Bing nodded. And now, the Tianma cult, which was already powerful, would become even more powerful with the addition of the Wanxiang Palace, the Void Spirit Technique, and the Winter Spirit Clan. Let's go. Ning Tian smiled slightly. He seemed to be able to see the rise of the Tianma cult. Big Dipper Starfield. Above the spirit sea between several fields, thousands of figures stepped on the void and looked at this spirit sea. The spirit sea was vast. If it was filled, it could be regarded as a small field, which was enough for the establishment of the Tianma cult. Husband, what should we do next? The two women looked at Ning Tian and asked. Well, we have to let Sha Tian come. The corner of Ning Tian's mouth lifted slightly. Then, she pulled out the red cloud sword and slowly approached the flame-sealing Lion King. Raise a lion for 1,000 days. Use it for a moment. Sha Tian, it's time for you to contribute. Meow, meow, meow. Seeing the ancestral master's cut meat. Oh, no. Scarlet Heaven Sword. The sealed Flame Lion King was so scared that its mother tongue came out. Did Master Lion make a mistake after all? Unexpectedly. Was Master Lion going to end up as the ancestral master's food? However, Master Lion hadn't bathed in a long time. For the sake of the ancestral master's peace of mind, and for the sake of the ancestral master's health, it was better to let Master Lion take a bath first. This was Master Lion's last bit of gentleness. Sha Tian, what are you, a lion, waiting for? Ning Tian rolled her eyes at the Lion King, interrupting the Lion King's thoughts. Are you going to spit it out yourself? Or do you want me to cut open your stomach and take it out? Roar. Hearing this, the flame-sealing Lion King wiped the tear from its eyes and suddenly realized that it was the little devil field that Master Lion had swallowed. It had scared Master Lion to death. Little devil domain? Hearing this, Tian and the Great Void Old Ancestor were stunned for a moment, then seemed to have thought of something, and their eyes lit up. I remember a few years ago, there was a rumor that the Demon Clan's little devil domain was swallowed by a monstrous beast. Could it be? It's the flame-sealing Lion King? You shocked Tian and the Great Void Old Ancestor with the flame-sealing Lion King. Reward: Flame-sealing Lion King's IQ +1. Finally, the flame-sealing Lion King had finally relied on its own strength to fight for itself. You'll know soon enough. Sha Tian spit. Ning Tian chuckled, then looked at the flame-sealing Lion King and ordered. Roar! Roar! The flame-sealing Lion King roared. Following that, the lion fur all over its body flickered with a dazzling golden-red color, and its body began to grow larger and larger, becoming extremely ferocious. Its aura also continued to rise due to its size. Boom, boom, boom. Its body carried with it scalding hot flames, and the surrounding seawater seemed to be evaporated by it. A Taotai transformed into a baleful, heavenly being could even fight against a supreme, ancient god. Oh my god! Looking at the gigantic flame-sealing Lion King, the group of people who had never seen Sha Tian's true body sucked in a breath of cold air, their eyes filled with deep shock. A second ago, it was still a lucky and adorable creature, but in the next second, it had transformed into an ancient, ferocious beast. Sha Tian, spit out the little demon region. Cover this sea region. This is the place where my Tianma cult is established. Ning Tian stepped into the void, then instantly appeared above Sha Tian's head, looking at the sea region, and said indifferently to the flame-sealing Lion King. If these words were to be heard by the experts of the little demon region who had died, they would definitely curse. Forget about the destruction of the little demon region. Even the region had to be forcefully renamed. Your uncle. Roar. The flame-sealing Lion King roared, and it was like a thunderclap. Next, after receiving the order, Sha Tian directly opened its monstrous mouth, which was filled with darkness. The mouth of a Taotai was equivalent to a void, and it was precisely because of this that it could endlessly devour. Roar! Roar! Amidst the roars, the little demon region slowly appeared beside the lion's mouth, then directly smashed into the sea region below. Boom! 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 Rumble! When the little demon region filled the sea region, waves suddenly surged, and countless spiritual energy surged wildly. Even the surrounding regions were affected by it. Countless spiritual energy began to condense, which directly alarmed many experts in the surrounding. Soon, more and more auras appeared around, and they all wanted to find out what was going on. When they saw the monstrous, ferocious beast, they were all shocked. What was going on? Wu Qing, Ning Tian, Ancestral Master? Little Ning? At this moment, in the sky, three puzzled voices sounded. Luo Zetian, Wu Qing's uncle, the wolf blood demon god, and reincarnation Dao god all appeared in the sky. They happened to be from the fire region, demon region, and precept region, and Ning Tian's movement just now had already alarmed them. What are you doing? Luo Zetian looked at the monstrous beast with fear in his heart. Even a heavenly god like him might not be able to withstand a bite from this ferocious beast. Naturally, I'm building a place for my Tianma cult. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth curled up slightly, and he said with a chuckle, since there's no place for me to stay, I can only do it myself. The three of them were silent. Tianma cult. Luo Zetian naturally knew about the Tianma cult. He glanced at the sky, and when he saw Fatty Chin and the others in the sky, he suddenly thought of something. It can actually be unsealed. Qin Luo didn't lie. Little Ning, you've made the little demon region your own region. As expected of you. Dao God reincarnation sighed. Upon hearing this, many experts in the surroundings who had come over after seeing the commotion were shocked. They were going to forcefully create a region. Who exactly were they? How could they have such a bold idea? 3 chapters first, one more, around 11 o'clock. Chapter 665. At this moment, when the small devil realm was spat out from the void, the surrounding seawater was constantly vibrating and quickly evaporated. The land of the small devil realm was also perfectly connected to the sea and was tightly connected to the surroundings. If one looked at it like this, they would really think that there was a piece of land here. But, Ancestral Master, although this land is big, isn't it a little too smelly? Moreover, the demonic energy has already deeply integrated into the land. If we build it here, It's very easy to affect our cultivation. If we're not careful, we might even go berserk. Dition frowned and couldn't help but say. Since he had already decided to join the Tianma cult, he naturally had to consider the Tianma cult. After all, this land had been swallowed by Sha Tian, and the sealing flame Lion King didn't even brush his teeth. It was extremely smelly, not to mention the demonic energy left on it. Just this monstrous stench was enough to suffocate them. Roar! The sealing flame Lion King roared and glared at Dition with its blood-red eyes. What do you know? Smelly mouth, that's Master Lion's romance. After being glared at by the sealing flame Lion King, Dition didn't dare to say anything. If this mascot was Sha Tian, he wouldn't be afraid. However, Sha Tian was already an ancient ferocious beast. Don't worry, I have my own countermeasures. Ning Tian naturally considered this point, but he was also prepared. Previously, the system gave him a bottle of deodorant, so he directly used it now. System, use the deodorant. He muttered in his heart. Using deodorant. The system's voice rang out. At this moment, the deodorant was opened. Ning Tian directly used the space law and instantly spread the deodorant evenly throughout the small devil realm. This was the correct way to use the space law. After the deodorant was spread evenly, Ning Tian circulated his spiritual energy and directly slammed his palm on the entire small devil realm. In an instant, when the spiritual energy exploded, the deodorant's effect also erupted and was displayed. The stench instantly disappeared. Hiss! How did he do that? Could it be, this is the legendary one punch to remove the stench? Seeing this scene, many of the surrounding cultivators gasped. As expected of the ancestral master, my bad breath has been here for tens of thousands of years. I wonder if the ancestral master can give me a punch. I wonder if the ancestral master can cure my bad breath that has been bothering me for so many years. At the side, the great void ancestor was scheming. Next up is the demonic chi here. Ning Tian murmured. Next. Within the small world in his dantian, the hearts of the three clans were directly switched to the pitch-black demon heart. The demon heart throbbed, and demon energy surged madly. They're all good stuff. Ning Tian's lips curled up slightly as black chi started to appear around his body. Demonic chi surged around his body, and his aura continuously fluctuated. Boom, boom. He saw. Under everyone's gaze, Ning Tian stood on top of Sha Tian's head and raised his hand. A huge suction force erupted from his hand as he lightly spat out a few words. Demon heart, demon chi deprivation. His voice faded. Thump, thump, thump. His demonic heart continued to beat. A huge amount of devil chi flowed out of Ning Tian's body. Boom. The devil chi flowed. In an instant, the devil chi that was deeply immersed in the small devil territory began to seep out little by little. Then, it gathered above the small devil territory to form a black ball of devil chi that was thousands of meters in size. What a terrifying devil chi! The ancestral master can actually suck out all the devil chi in the small devil territory. The ancestral master is really good at sucking. Look at the ancestral master. He's turning evil. Everyone's gaze was on Ning Tian, who was standing on top of the flame-sealing Lion King. At this moment, they saw that there was a dense pitch-black devil chi flowing out of Ning Tian's body. Under this huge amount of devil chi, they were a little worried that the ancestral master would accidentally go berserk. But what they didn't know was that the ancestral master himself was a demon. Come on, this mass of devil chi is a great supplement, Ning Tian murmured as a glint flashed in his eyes. If he swallowed this devil chi and went to the devil territory, perhaps the heart of the devil territory would be greatly improved. Give it to me, plunder. Ning Tian waved his hand, and the black devil chi ball that was thousands of meters in size continuously flew towards him. Husband, be careful. Seeing this scene, the two women hurriedly warned Ning Tian. Even Ning Tian had to be careful when facing this demonic chi. Okay. Ning Tian nodded slightly. His body was almost completely covered by the devil chi. He raised his hand, and the devil chi entered his body. The heart of the devil territory in his Dantian small world was also crazily absorbing the devil chi. Facing such a situation, Ning Tian wasn't worried. Even if the heart of the devil territory went out of control, there was still the heart of the human territory and the heart of the devil territory to help suppress it. At the very least, there was still the unknown tree to suppress it. Because of this, therefore, he could act without any scruples. Boom, boom. In the blink of an eye, dozens of minutes later, under everyone's shocked gaze, the devil chi on this piece of land had been cleansed. There wasn't a single trace of devil chi left in the soil. So powerful. Seeing this scene, Di Tian and the rest looked at him in shock. At the side, the fan club, Old Su, Di Wuji, and Old Wolf were full of admiration. This kid is getting stronger and stronger. Dao God Reincarnation chuckled. He had been busy with the precept domain for the past few years. It had only been a few years since they last met, and he didn't expect this kid to become so strong. However, in terms of strength, Ning Tian was about to catch up with him. The devil chi has been removed. This piece of land is almost back to its original state. Then, next, I need to guide the spirit, Ning Tian murmured. The current small devil territory was like the precept domain back then. There was no spirit chi at all. Naturally, he needed to guide the spirit chi. Only by giving birth to spirit chi seeds could this place produce an endless stream of spirit chi. However, this piece of land was much bigger than the precept domain. You have shocked Di Tian and the rest. You have shocked a group of onlookers around you. Reward, Spirit Guiding Card. It can attract spirit chi from a place and expand it by 10 times to form a spirit chi seed that provides an endless stream of energy. The spirit chi of the place that is absorbed will gradually recover within a week. In his mind, the system's voice sounded. Oh, Spirit Guiding Card. Ning Tian raised his brows. Then, wouldn't there be spirit chi? Let's see which unlucky little guy will have his spirit chi sucked away. Very soon, Ning Tian's gaze landed in a direction. That was in the Middle State region. Chapter 666. Then, I'll borrow 100 million more of your spiritual energy. I'll be a good person until the end. Anyway, I'll be able to recover in a week. Ning Tian looked in the direction of the Zhongzhou region and smiled. As the saying goes, if the old doesn't go, the new won't come. He was doing this for the good of the Zhongzhou region. After all, the cultivators of the Zhongzhou region were probably immune to the old spiritual energy. Wouldn't it be great if he helped the Zhongzhou region change to a new one? In this case, the cultivators of the Zhongzhou region should be grateful to him. The ancestral master's original intention hadn't changed. He was still a good person. Phew. Then, let's begin, Ning Tian murmured. Then, he took a step forward and disappeared from Sha Tian's head. He stepped on the void and spiritual energy surged all over his body. He raised his palm slightly and aimed at the direction of the Zhongzhou region. Everyone, step aside. It's the spiritual energy. Hearing this, Dao God Reincarnation and the others looked solemn and kept retreating. Although they didn't know what the ancestral master was going to do, it sounded awesome. In order not to be accidentally hurt by the ancestral master, they'd better listen to him. Some of the cultivators of the Zhongzhou region, who came also quickly retreated. When they saw Ning Tian raise his hand and aim at the Zhongzhou region, they scratched their heads in confusion. What was he going to do? Spiritual Energy Card. Use. Ning Tian pressed down with his hand, and the spiritual energy in his body began to surge out. It was as if it had turned into a monstrous dragon. Accompanied by a series of rumbles, it rushed into the sky. The dark clouds in the sky changed color, and it was as if the entire sky was trembling. Spiritual Energy Card. Successful use. In his mind, when the system's voice sounded, Ning Tian's spiritual energy combined with the use of the spiritual energy card was like a giant dragon. The Zhongzhou region was like a vast ocean. The spiritual energy dragon directly used the dragon's absorption of water. The spiritual energy in the Zhongzhou region was like a stream of water that was continuously sucked over. This is forcefully moving the spiritual energy in the Zhongzhou region here. Seeing this scene, Tion and the Great Void Sect's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. But on second thought, they heaved a sigh of relief. Sigh, I've joined the Tim cult now. What does it have to do with me if the Zhongzhou region has no spiritual energy? This kid, he's still the same. Tao God Reincarnation sighed. This is very ancestral, master. The 3 members of the Founders Fan Club shook their heads. Among them, Old Sue was still writing furiously. What? This. The cultivators from the Middle Ground region, who were prepared to watch a good show, were stunned. Their mouths twitched, and their words were trembling. They looked at Ning Tian and felt like they were going crazy. Was he robbing someone right in front of them? What? How dare he? The spiritual energy dragons to Zhongzhou to Zhongthousand Zhongzhou to Zhongzhou Zhong's spiritual energy and CEN. It catch the Zhongzhou region Zhongzhou to catch. The sky. Several ancient god auras descended. Of M to Zongt, Estet, TT right at this moment. In the sky, the aura of a peak primal chaos ancient god appeared. An angry voice sounded, and a white-haired old man appeared. He was the strongest person in the Central State region. When he spoke angrily, he looked over. If I find out, I'll help you take all the spiritual energy in the Zhongzhou region. Halfway through his sentence, when the white-haired old man saw Ning Tian, his expression became unnatural. Oh my God! Why is it the ancestral master of the Heavenly Palace? Although the Heavenly Palace was one of the strongest forces in the God realm, it kept a low profile. Why would the ancestral master of the Heavenly Palace come here and take away the spiritual energy in the Zhongzhou region? Even though he was a chaos ancient god, he didn't dare to stop it. What if the 9 ancient gods jumped out from behind Ning Tian when he tried to stop it? Oh, are you going to take action? Ning Tian looked at the white-haired old man indifferently and asked, Ahem, well. The white-haired old man froze on the spot. He didn't know whether to say or not. In the sky, Ning Tian looked at the white-haired old man in silence and didn't say anything. He continued to control the spirit guidance dragon to swallow the enormous amount of spiritual energy in the Zhongzhou region. The speed of the spirit guidance dragon was extremely fast. All the people in the Zhongzhou region could feel the loss of spiritual energy. At this moment, all the cultivators in the Zhongzhou region were dumbfounded as they watched the spiritual energy being sucked away. What the F***CK? What's going on? My spiritual energy? Where did it go? What the F***C? I've been a waste for 3 years. I wanted to become a genius today. How can you tell me I can't get the spiritual energy? All over the Zhongzhou region, curses and swearing could be heard continuously. Obviously, besides being dumbfounded, the cultivators in the Zhongzhou region were also angry. How dare you steal spiritual energy in broad daylight? Ha ha ha. In another place, an old man looked up and laughed. Unlike the surrounding cultivators who were dumbfounded and angry, he laughed when he felt the spiritual energy being sucked away. Elder Tian, what are you doing? Some cultivators were confused. Haha, what do you know? My great 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 dash now. I have also witnessed everything. Doesn't that mean this old man will also become the strongest person? Elder Tian stroked his beard and laughed heartily. So that's how it is. Congratulations, Elder Tian. You are about to become the strongest person. The surrounding cultivators quickly congratulated him. Ha ha ha, today, this old man will be able to die. Elder Tian laughed heartily. In the next second, he was so happy that he directly passed away. Elder Tian? The expressions of the surrounding cultivators changed drastically. Sometimes great joy and great sorrow came so suddenly. At this moment, in the sky, the spirit-guiding dragon, which had absorbed all the spiritual energy in the central province region, had expanded to hundreds of thousands of meters long. Its aura was vigorous, and the spiritual energy dragon's eyes looked in the direction of the little demon region. Here, change the name to Sky Devil region. This is the place where the Tianma cult rose to prominence. Ning Tian raised a finger, and the hundreds of thousands of meters long spiritual energy dragon followed his movement. It raised its dragon head and looked indifferently in the direction of the Sky Devil region. Sky Devil region? No, since when was there a region here? The white-haired old man from the central province looked at the region below. His pupils suddenly shrank, and a trace of horror flashed across his eyes. What was going on? Wasn't this a vast ocean? Could it be? The white-haired old man's eyes, which were filled with horror, fell on Ning Tian. He thought of a very terrifying fact. This region was created by the Heavenly Palace's ancestral master, but leaving a name for the entire region might provoke the wrath of the Heavenly Tao. Chapter 667. Boom. At this moment, in the sky, dark clouds covered the sky and thunder rumbled. Everyone raised their eyes and looked at the black-robed young man in the sky with awe. His expression was cold and lightning flickered around him as if the sky was building momentum for him. Is the ancestral master going to create a domain? Di Tian, old ancestor Taishu, and the others widened their eyes. Their hearts were in turmoil. They had a strong premonition. They were going to witness the greatest history. The two women's beautiful eyes were full of splendor. They were extremely excited. This was their husband. Husband, be careful. If you leave your name in the creation territory, you might incur the wrath of the Heavenly Tao. Although she was excited, Luo Wuqing still looked at Ning Tian and reminded her. Yes, Kid Ning, be careful. If you leave your name in the domain, you might anger the Heavenly Tao. Be careful. At the side, Tao God Reincarnation also reminded him. Tianma Cult, circulate your spirit energy and resist the Heavenly Tao's pressure for the ancestral master. Fatty Chin said indifferently. Then, he circulated his spirit energy without hesitation. The thousands of Tianma cult disciples behind him also circulated their spirit energy. There was no fear in their eyes. There was no hesitation. As long as the ancestral master gave the order, then they would dare to resist the Heavenly Tao's pressure for the ancestral master. It seems that Kid Ning's power has also grown. Seeing this scene, Tao God Reincarnation couldn't help but sigh. He could naturally see how powerful the Tianma cult's group was. Anger of the Heavenly Tao? In the sky, thunder rumbled. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth lifted slightly. He chuckled and looked at the two women. Then, he looked at the crowd. Fatty Chin, stand down. It's just the Heavenly Tao's pressure. What's there to be afraid of? What's there to be afraid of? The Heavenly Tao's pressure. Hearing these words, everyone was shocked. If someone else said this, they would definitely scoff and laugh at them. But the one who said this was the ancestral master. Since the ancestral master dared to say it, then he dared to do it. Boom. Rumble. Then let's begin. Ning Tian looked down and raised his hand slightly. The spirit energy dragon that was hundreds of thousands of meters long also followed his movement and looked down at the domain below. Here, it's going to be the place where the Tianma cult will rise. Then, let's change it to the Tianma domain. Along with Ning Tian's words, roar, roar. The 100,000-meter-long spirit energy dragon let out a roar, and then it charged down with all the spirit energy in the central region. In an instant, everyone looked down with solemn expressions. Boom, boom. When the spirit chi dragon crashed into the ground of the Sky Devil region, the Sky Devil region shook violently. Then, the spirit chi on the ground exploded. In an instant, the Sky Devil region was filled with spirit chi. A spiritual seed that looked like a dragon's heart was buried in the Sky Devil domain. The Sky Devil region had come alive. Boom, boom. At this moment, the moment the Sky Devil region was named, thunder seemed to roam in the sky. The sky suddenly darkened. Everyone's expression changed as they looked up at the sky. Could it be? Was the wrath of the heavenly Tao coming? It was also at this moment that Luo Wuqing, Su Yueyao, Reincarnation Tao God, Fatty Qin, and the others quietly circulated their spirit energy. As long as the wrath of the heavenly Tao struck, they would dare to face the wrath of the heavenly Tao with Ning Tian. Rumble. Thunder kept rumbling in the sky. Ning Tian, who was dressed in black, stood with his hands behind his back. He raised his head slightly and looked at the strange phenomenon in the sky. It was as if he was saying, "Do you dare to come down?" In the sky, the thunder rumbled for a long time. But the wrath of the heavenly Tao that everyone was afraid of did not descend for a long time. After a while, the dark clouds in the sky dispersed and the thunder subsided. It was as if everything had returned to normal. The heavenly Tao came, and then it left? Seeing this scene, Tian and the others were stunned for a moment. Looking at everything that had returned to normal, their heads were full of question marks. What the hell was this? The wrath of the heavenly Tao? The wrath of the heavenly Tao was equivalent to an arrow on the string, but when it was about to be released, it took the initiative to give up. Why was this? However, in the face of all this, Ning Tian did not find it strange. Sorry, fate could really do whatever he wanted. In this way, the Sky Demon region is almost done. Ning Tian's gaze fell on the Sky Demon region that was filled with spirit energy and muttered. In this way, the Tianma cult would have a place to stay. You shocked Tao God Reincarnation and the others. You shocked the cultivators of the middle state. Reward. Heart of the human race, spirit of faith. The spirit of faith can be planted in one place. With the effect of the spirit guiding card, it will emit spirit energy. Those who have faith in the host can speed up their cultivation, thus increasing the speed of progress of the heart of the human race. At this moment, in his mind, the system's voice sounded again. Hearing this, Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. Then, his gaze fell on the middle state. Without hesitation, he took a step forward. Seeing this scene, a group of people looked over. The middle state. At this moment, all the cultivators of the middle state looked in the direction of the Sky Demon region in horror. The majestic appearance of the black-clothed youth in the sky just now could be said to be engraved in their hearts. He was too damn fierce. He actually created a region by himself. He was not even afraid of the heavenly Tao. Even the wrath of the heavenly Tao did not take action against him. Could it be this was the legendary Son of Destiny? All the cultivators of the middle state were extremely excited. At this moment, they even forgot that the spirit energy was being sucked away. At this moment, above the sky of the middle state, a black-clothed youth stepped out of the void and looked down at the group of cultivators of the middle state below. Everyone's gaze was also looking at the sky. I'm Ning Tian, the patriarch of the heavenly palace. I just borrowed a little bit of the middle state spirit energy. Now I'm returning it. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth lifted slightly as he looked at everyone. The patriarch of the heavenly palace. He's actually from the heavenly palace. He's so handsome. I'm so excited to see him. I really want to give birth to a monkey for him. When Ning Tian finished speaking, many of the cultivators below looked over. The male cultivators had looks of reverence on their faces, while the female cultivators were trembling. Their faces were flushed, and they could not even stand properly. Ning Tian didn't pay any attention to them. He directly activated the spirit of faith, and a ball of blue light appeared in his hand. Under everyone's puzzled gaze, Ning Tian raised his hand and shot the blue light into the ground of the middle state. Boom! In an instant, the blue light shone out, and wisps of spirit energy returned again. Wait for a week, and your spirit energy will naturally return, and it will be richer than before. Ning Tian looked at all the cultivators of the middle state indifferently and did not say a word of nonsense. What the ancestral master was best at was to give you a candy right after giving you a stick. As expected, hearing this, the eyes of all the cultivators of the middle state suddenly lit up. If the spirit energy was richer than before, so what if the old spirit energy was taken away? Chapter 668. Thank you, Ancestral Master. Thank you, Ancestral Master of the Heavenly Palace. Below, the group of cultivators looked at Ning Tian gratefully. Although Ning Tian had forcibly deprived them of their spirit qi, he immediately gave them more spirit qi. This was the typical behavior of an ancestral master. I'll give you a slap and a piece of candy. In the sky, Ning Tian merely planted the spirit of faith into this land and did not say anything else. As for the function of the spirit of faith, it would be too deliberate if he said it himself. True reverence had to come from the bottom of their hearts. Ancestral Master is so powerful. Many cultivators in the Middle State region looked at Ning Tian with reverence in their eyes. When the reverence was born, the blue spirit qi surged into their bodies as if it was about to bring about a qualitative change. This is such rich spirit qi, could it be? At this moment, Ning Tian had already turned around. Hearing the exclamations behind him and feeling the heartbeat of the human race, the corners of his mouth lifted slightly. There was no need for him to intervene next. In the heavenly demon region, Ning Tian returned and looked at the crowd. Now that the spirit qi has been formed and the heavenly demon region has been successfully established, then the next step is to rebuild the Tiamat cult and let the Tiamat cult reappear in the divine realm. Yes, Ancestral Master. Fatty Chin and the others nodded heavily, their eyes filled with excitement. Back then, the Tiamat cult should have swept through the divine realm, but because of the spirit, Uncle Chin, and the Ancestral Master's decision, they had to freeze it. Now, they finally had the chance again, and this time, it was led by the Ancestral Master again. Old Dao, do you have any construction materials in your precept domain? Do you want to give us some? Also, Wolf Blood, why don't you bring some of the demon god region's Herculean demons to help us with the construction and move the bricks? At this moment, everything was calm and peaceful. Everything had returned to the beginning. Ning Tian looked at them with a smile. There was nothing in the heavenly demon region now. Even if he wanted to rebuild the Tiamat cult, he needed enough materials and manpower. But now, naturally, he had to drag a few more tools down. You brat, you only know how to trick me. Dao God Reincarnation cursed and then rolled his eyes at Ning Tian. All right, just you wait. Wait for me to transport it over. Yes, Patriarch. The Wolf Blood Yao God didn't say much. He simply nodded and immediately agreed. Now, Ning Tian could be said to be half the master of the Yao God realm. Even the Eternal Dragon Tribe and the 9 Phoenix Yao God Tribe had shown signs of wanting to submit to him. If they did, the entire demon god domain would belong to Ning Tian. Who? I'm going to be busy from now on. Ning Tian let out a long sigh of relief. At this moment, the 2 women also walked over and gently hugged him. Husband, thank you for your hard work. The gentle voices of the 2 women rang in Ning Tian's ears. It's no trouble at all. Why don't I reward you? Ning Tian looked at the 2 women with a smirk. How about a maid costume? Hearing this, Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao were stunned for a moment. They blushed and rolled their eyes at Ning Tian, but they didn't refuse. A few days later, in the void, Ning Tian took a step out of the void with the 2 women. The aura of the 3 of them had improved significantly. It was obvious. In the past few days, through serious cultivation and the accumulation of spiritual energy, the 3 of them had completed another breakthrough. Ning Tian had entered the 8 stars of the heavenly god realm, and the 2 women were infinitely close to the supreme ancient god realm. The current heavenly demon region has finally begun to take shape. In the sky, Ning Tian looked at everything in the heavenly demon region, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up slightly. Above the heavenly demon region, one building after another rose from the ground. These buildings were built by Ning Tian based on the general appearance of the Tiamat cult in the God domain and the Tiamat cult in the 9 regions. To him, the Tiamat cult in the God domain wasn't the real Tiamat cult, and the 9 regions Tiamat cult wasn't the real Tiamat cult. Only when the two were combined could it be considered the real Tianma cult. Wife, let's go. I've already sensed a few familiar auras. Ning Tian stretched and looked at the heavenly demon region with narrowed eyes. Okay. The two women nodded slightly, looking very good. Let's go. Ning Tian chuckled and took the two women into the void again. At this moment, in the main hall of the Tianma cult in the heavenly demon region, several acquaintances of Ning Tian were here. Everyone, why are you all here? Ning Tian's hearty laughter could be heard. The three of them tore the void apart and stepped into the main hall. In the main hall, Yishuang, Saint Sun God, Reincarnation Tao God, and Nine-Tailed Demon Fox were sitting in the main hall with tea in their hands. Ning Tian, you're finally here. Tao God Reincarnation looked over, and so did Yishuang and the others. At this moment, those who sat there were all ancient God realm experts. Even in the God domain, they couldn't be underestimated. Each of them had a frightening identity. The great senior sister of the Heavenly Palace, the Fire Region Master, the Precept Region Master, and the strongest expert in the monster domain. Junior brother, I've heard about what happened. Junior brother, you can make your own decision. Even if you create your own force, we'll still be behind you. Yishuang looked at Ning Tian and said slowly, Hee. Thank you, senior sister. Hearing this, Ning Tian felt a touch of warmth in his heart. He was wondering if he should pull the 9 Supremes of the Heavenly Palace into the Tianma cult. However, after thinking about it carefully, he felt that he would be letting down the master of the Heavenly Palace whom he had never met. Moreover, he was afraid that the 9 Supremes of the Heavenly Palace would not agree. However, this was good. It was good enough that they could be behind him. Brat, what are you doing with my precious granddaughter? Saint Sun God glared fiercely at Ning Tian, his face full of grievance and anger. Damn it! It was bad enough that his precious daughter was taken, but now his precious granddaughter was also taken. Damn it! The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. Of course, it's to give birth to a fat boy for my dear grandfather, Ning Tian said with a straight face. Saint Sun God felt as if a sharp sword had pierced his heart. Brat, why did you build the Sky Demon region here? Saint Sun God decided to change the topic. Otherwise, he would be angered to the point of vomiting blood. Of course, it's convenient here and can be a better trap. Please help me, Ning Tian said with a smile. Saint Sun God was speechless. Did you hear that? This brat said he wants to trap us. Saint Sun God's face darkened as he looked at the others. However, Yishuang, Reincarnation Tao God, and the Nine-Tailed Fox did not care. Yishuang shook her head and said softly, This place is quite convenient and can help junior brother better. Indeed. Tao God Reincarnation and the Nine-Tailed Fox nodded. You can spoil him. Saint Sun God's face darkened. Junior brother, your force is called the Tianma cult, right? Yishuang looked at Ning Tian and said slowly, Why don't you take this opportunity to announce the establishment of a cult and let everyone in the God realm know the name of the Tianma cult? Hearing this, Saint Sun God and the others' eyes lit up, thinking that this was feasible. The current Ning Tian was no longer a brat. He was now the god of the Tianma cult. No, let's wait a little longer. Ning Tian shook his head, his eyes flashing. The current Tianma cult is not complete. I want to bring the disciples of the Tianjin cult from the 9 regions here. That will be the real Tianjin cult. Chapter 669. As soon as Ning Tian finished speaking, the hall fell silent. The hall fell into silence as everyone's eyes fell on Ning Tian. Shengyang God frowned slightly, stroked his beard, and slowly said, The 9 regions heavenly demon cult? Brat, even if the ancient road to godhood is no longer there, people from the 9 regions still have to break through to the divine realm if they want to come to the divine realm. Indeed. Even if ancient God Yun Tu's ancient road to godhood was destroyed by you, the rules of the way of heaven have not changed. Tao God Reincarnation nodded slightly. In the past, if the experts of the 9 regions wanted to enter the divine realm, they had to take the ancient road to godhood. Although ancient God Yun Tu's ancient road to godhood was a little tricky, it was still a shortcut for the experts of the 9 regions to enter the divine realm. Now that the ancient road to godhood was destroyed by Ning Tian, it was easier for the experts of the nine regions to enter the divine realm. That was, the nine tribulations' great emperor broke through to the demigod realm and had a trace of divine power in his body. Only then could he feel the call of the divine realm and ascend to the divine realm. However, without divine power, if he forced his way to the divine realm, he would be ostracized by the way of heaven and lose his life. That was why everyone reacted this way when they heard Ning Tian say that he wanted to bring the Tianma cult of the nine regions. No matter how powerful the Tianma cult of the nine regions was, it was impossible for all of them to reach the demigod realm. Since they had not reached the demigod realm, they could not sense divine power and ascend. If Ning Tian forcibly took them away, it would only harm them. Everyone, don't worry. Since my husband said so, he must have his own confidence, Luo Wuqing said calmly as he looked at the crowd. Indeed, Ning Tian is quite reliable. Tao God Reincarnation nodded as well. Everyone, don't worry. I have a way. Ning Tian smiled slightly. If the way of heaven was majestic, he could use the space door to avoid this problem. But now, he had a new doubt. But I have a doubt. Little junior brother, what doubts do you have? The gazes of Yi Shuang and the others landed on Ning Tian. Earlier, you all said that, now that there is no ancient road to godhood, the ascenders of the nine regions only need to reach the demigod realm to be able to sense the divine power and ascend to the divine region. However, in recent years, have any of you seen any cultivators ascending from the nine regions? Could it be, over the past few years, there hasn't been a single demigod in the vast nine regions? Ning Tian said slowly as he looked at the crowd with a glint in his eyes. Hearing this, within the large hall, Yi Shuang and the rest frowned and immediately fell into silence. It is indeed a little strange. If the ancient road to godhood still exists, it is quite normal that no cultivators from the nine regions have ascended to the deity realm. After all, the ancient road to godhood is open for a certain period of time. But the ancient road to godhood was destroyed by my husband. Now, as long as the nine regions experts reach the demigod realm, they will be able to sense the god power and ascend to the heavens. But why is it that there has been no news in recent years? Could it be? Su Yueyao frowned and said slowly, could it be that someone has stopped them? In the large hall, a glint flashed in the eyes of the crowd as they said in unison, that's right. This is what I am puzzled about. Ning Tian said lightly. When the ancient road to godhood first opened, although many experts from the nine regions had stepped onto the ancient road to godhood, there were still many who chose to stay in the nine regions. After so many years, there were bound to be people who could break through to the demigod realm, and it was impossible that those who had broken through to the demigod realm would not come to the deity realm. After all, now that the ancient road to godhood no longer existed, it meant that they would not have to go through the war of godhood. They could directly ascend to the deity realm, and for many people, this was a fatal temptation. In the past few years, there have been very few people who have ascended to the deity realm. Could it be, as the brat said, that these people have been stopped? Heavenly God Xingyang frowned and narrowed his eyes. His eyes were full of seriousness. I will go and ask, Yi Shuang said lightly. Yi Shuang said plainly. Although she was the eldest sister of the heavenly palace, she did not care about such matters. The greatest responsibility of the heavenly palace was to guard the seal related to the dark turmoil, but it was still very easy for her to find out about this matter. As soon as she finished speaking, Yi Shuang stepped into the void. Seeing this, everyone in the main hall waited patiently. Dozens of minutes later, the space in the main hall fluctuated. Yi Shuang appeared in the main hall again. Everyone's eyes fell on her. She said lightly, in the past few years, there have been no cultivators from the nine regions who have ascended to the deity realm. They have been stopped. Yi Shuang's words made everyone's heart sink. As expected, Ning Tian's guess was indeed correct, but who would stop them? After a moment of silence, the nine-tailed celestial fox asked, who? Could it be the ancient god Yun too? Tao God Reincarnation looked at everyone in the main hall and asked tentatively, ancient god Yun too. Hearing this, everyone frowned. Now, The most likely possibility was the ancient god Yun Tuesday. After all, these people had learned from the mistakes of others. It was hard not to be suspicious. If it is really the ancient god Yun Tu, what is their purpose? What are these people trying to do? Heavenly God Shengyang frowned. The dark turmoil, or the power of the dark turmoil. Ning Tian's eyes lit up as he said slowly. He was basically certain that the mastermind behind the interception of the cultivators from the 9 regions should be the ancient god Yun Tuesday. When the ancient road to godhood existed, it was a conspiracy. Their purpose was to use the blood of the cultivators from the 9 regions to activate the heart of the 3 races. However, when the heart of the 3 races was just activated, it was accidentally taken away by Ning Tian. Could it be? Was the ancient god Yun Tu trying to use the blood to create a new heart of the 3 races? Ning Tian frowned. They did not dare to act recklessly in the deity realm. However, they could act recklessly in the 9 regions. The dark turmoil. Hearing this, everyone fell silent. What is the dark turmoil? Heavenly God Shengyang could not help but ask. Although he looked the oldest in the main hall, he was actually younger than the rest. Even the 9-tailed celestial fox was older than him. After all, she was from the demon clan. Shengyang, you can ask Fentian about this. Yi Shuang did not explain too much. Hearing this, Heavenly God Shengyang could not help but smile bitterly. Fentian ancestor. This old man has not appeared in the fire domain for many years. Those who don't know him would think that he has passed away. Fentian is naturally fine. Otherwise, other than Qin Luo, who else in the fire domain would protect the fire domain? Yi Shuang said lightly. Qin Luo? What does this have to do with Qin Luo? Heavenly God Shengyang scratched his head. It was obvious that he did not know how powerful the person who had abducted his daughter was. Little junior brother, have you thought of anything? Yi Shuang looked at Ning Tian, who had been silent for a long time, and asked, Tomorrow at 5. Today, I will sort out the plot. Chapter 670. Got it? Under everyone's gaze, Ning Tian nodded slightly. Although he had thought of it, Ning Tian did not say anything. After all, the heart of the 3 clans involved too much. Even if everyone in the hall was trustworthy, it was better to be cautious. I didn't expect. It's this group of people again, Ning Tian murmured. Even if he knew that the ancient god Yun Tu was up to something, it was too late now. Although the ancient god Yun Tu was annoying, he could not swat them like flies. After all, the ancient god Yun Tu was not weak. Moreover, the 9 supremes of the heavenly palace were still focused on the seal, and did not have time to deal with the ancient god Yun Tuesday. Looks like I have to hurry up and return to the 9 regions. A glint flashed in Ning Tian's eyes as he said calmly, Return to the 9 regions? Hearing this, everyone raised their eyebrows. Little Ning, do you want us to follow you? Dao God Reincarnation frowned and asked. No need. Ning Tian shook his head and smiled. He looked at the 2 girls and said, Wuqing Yueyao and I will go back. The stronger we are, the stronger the pressure of heaven and earth will be when we return to the 9 regions. Even the ancient god Yun Tu will not take this risk. To deal with the cultivators of the 9 regions, even if they send ancestor gods, it will be more than enough. Hearing this, Dao God Reincarnation and the others in the hall nodded. The stronger they were, the stronger the pressure of heaven will be when they return to the 9 regions. It was better not to take this risk. Moreover, the ancient god Yun Tu was not a fool. A few ancestor gods would be enough to deal with the cultivators of the 9 regions. Little junior brother, when are you going to leave? You might not be able to see us for a long time. Before leaving, I have to arrange everything properly. Yi Shuang looked up and said lightly, Ning Tian looked at her in confusion and guessed in his heart. Will not be able to see them for a long time? Could it be? Is it about the seal again? That's exactly what you're thinking, little junior brother. Master must have summoned us for something. However, he didn't call us little junior brother. Yi Shuang nodded slightly and confirmed Ning Tian's thoughts. So that's how it is. Then I'll have to trouble senior sister to greet the master whom I've never met. Ning Tian chuckled and continued, If we're going, there's no time to lose. Let's do it now. Now? Brat, why are you in such a hurry? The Tiamat cult has just been established, and you don't care about it anymore? Shengyang Heavenly God said with a frown. The matters of the 9 zones cannot wait. Ning Tian shook his head with a serious expression. He didn't know if the ancient Guardian too would attack the old acquaintances of the 9 zones, so he had to be quick. After that, he smiled at Shangsun Empyrean God. Besides, isn't it all thanks to you, grandfather? If you can manage the huge fire realm well, I believe that the Tiamat cult won't be a problem for you. Shengyang Heavenly God was stunned for a moment, his head full of question marks. So you asked this old man to come over just to help you manage the Tiamat cult? So this old man is actually a tool? You've shocked your dear grandfather. Obtained title, Master of Tools. Obtained. Ancestral Master's Faith. All objects that have the power of faith to the host will release light balls of faith. Ning Tian. What the hell was a Master of Tools? But this was faith. Humph, brat, this old man is not like them. They may spoil you, but this old man won't. This matter is absolutely non-negotiable. Shengyang Heavenly God snorted coldly and directly said no way. After all, he had a bad temper. Grandfather, I'll leave the Tiamat cult to you. At this moment, Luo Wuqing's faint voice sounded. Okay. The next second, Shengyang Heavenly God's dark old face suddenly bloomed with a smile. Without a trace of hesitation, he directly agreed. Seeing this scene, in the main hall, everyone was stunned for a moment and silently cursed in their hearts. What an evil Grand Khan! Compared to everyone present, only Shengyang Heavenly God was more suitable to help manage the entire Tiamat cult when Ning Tian left. Tao God Reincarnation's own precept domain was not enough to manage it, and the 9-tailed fox's demon god domain was relatively far from the sky demon domain. Therefore, only his grandfather could be the tool. I've already told most of the things to Fatty Qin. Grandfather, you can handle the Tiamat cult as you see fit, Ning Tian said to Shengyang Heavenly God. Then, he directly took the 2 girls' hands and stepped into the void. The moment the 3 of them entered the space, a huge door that exuded endless space power appeared in front of them. He kicked it. It was 9 domains. In the main hall, seeing Ning Tian and the other 2 leave in a hurry, everyone in the main hall had different expressions. After sighing, they all left, leaving only Shengyang Heavenly God, the old tool, in the main hall. The Tianxian continent was divided into 9 domains. Tianling domain. It was where the Tiamat cult originated. In the past few years, the Tiamat cult had risen rapidly and unified the entire Tianling domain. In the past few years, it had even formed an alliance with the Firmament territory and become the strongest force in the 9 domains today. Within the Tiamat cult, there was a legendary statue that stood in the Tiamat cult square. That was the legend of the Tiamat cult. It was also the belief of all the Tiamat cult members. That was the legendary patriarch of the Tiamat cult. Some people even said that he was once the strongest cultivator in the 9 domains. At this moment, in the main hall of the Tiamat cult, there was a faint smell of roasted horse meat. Many of Ning Tian's old acquaintances were already in the main hall, and they all looked helplessly at a fat man who was gnawing on a horsewhip. Zhu Yuanbua, the war is coming, and you still have the mood to gnaw on a horsewhip? The great Supreme Elder looked helplessly at the fat man gnawing on the horsewhip and sighed deeply. This horsewhip smells so good. Zhu Yuanbua took another bite. After hearing the great Supreme Elder's words, he ate the horse meat and muttered, Great Supreme Elder, you said the war is coming. What if I die? I might as well eat a few mouthfuls of horse meat before I die. And, Great Supreme Elder, what right do you have to talk about me? Put down the Imperial Maiden portrait in your hand and talk to me later. Zhu Yuanbua rolled his eyes at the Great Supreme Elder. Ahem, isn't it the same as what you said? What if I die and can't see it? I'll take a look now and enjoy it so that I can kill the enemy later. The Great Supreme Elder coughed dryly and calmly turned a page. Hiss, this bear is so big, wonderful. Everyone in the main hall was speechless when they saw the old man and the fat man acting so frivolously. Great Supreme Elder, fellow Taoist Jew, the war is coming. The 2 of you should be serious. On the side, Moon Spirit, who had matured a lot, spoke slowly. After stepping onto the throne of the divine kingdom, Moon Spirit was no longer as young and inexperienced. She was clearly more mature now. Chapter 671. You're right, Emperor Yu. The Grand Elder reluctantly put away the imperial maiden portrait and sighed. It's been several years since the ancestral master, the Empress, and the Holy Lord have left, and the heavenly demon cult has changed greatly in those years. Things remain the same, but people have changed. I wonder when I'll meet the ancestral master again. Ancestral master. Moon Spirit was stunned when she heard the Supreme Elder's words. A familiar figure flashed across her mind, and a nostalgic look flashed across her beautiful eyes. She then looked serious and clenched her fists. Don't worry. As long as we survive this tribulation, we'll definitely be able to see our ancestral master again. Sigh. Hearing this, the Supreme Elder sighed helplessly and even sounded a little desperate. That's a peerless ancestor god realm master. Hearing this, Moon Spirit Princess and the others in the main hall fell silent. Ancestor god realm. To them, it was simply an invisible existence. Even though the Tianma cult had developed rapidly in recent years and everyone's cultivation speed had greatly improved, the Supreme Elder had already reached the 8 Tribulation Great Emperor realm. Moon Spirit and Zhu Yuanbua had also reached the God Emperor realm. Although there was still a gap between them and the Great Emperor realm, it was already very heaven-defying to achieve such improvement in just a few years. After all, not everyone was the ancestral master. However, even if their strength had improved by leaps and bounds, they were still powerless in the face of a peerless ancestor god realm master. However, even so, this old man will not give in, even if it means risking my old life. I was born as a member of the Tianma cult, and I'll die as a member of the Tianma cult. Everything is for our ancestral master. The Supreme Elder's muddy old eyes flashed with a bright light. He had promised the ancestral master that he would not let the Tianma cult stop at his hands. Yes. Hearing this, everyone in the hall nodded seriously, whether it was Heavenly Treasure Holy Master, Great Sorrow Palace's Palace Master, High Heaven Sect's Sect Master, or any of the others. They had long pledged their allegiance to the heavenly demon cult and revered that man. By the way, Moon Emperor. The Supreme Elder looked at Moon Spirit and seemed to have thought of something. When will the experts from the Firmament Territory arrive? Soon. Yuqin said that Sect Master and I has already taken over some of the experts in the Firmament Territory. Under such circumstances, staying together is the safest option. Moon Spirit said slowly, Amen. Since that's the case, we can inform Yaoqi Saintess to bring the Jade Lake sacred ground over. The Supreme Elder sighed deeply and looked at the sky outside the main hall. The war is coming. In the main hall, everyone was silent and nervous. This kind of nervousness reminded them of the time when Great Emperor Zhengtian had joined forces with the Void God, Heavenly Palace to attack the Tianma cult. But now, it was far more terrifying than before. Their opponents were unknown experts from the divine domain. He was a god, not a human. Furthermore, the man who had once brought them miracles was also not here. There was no patriarch. Who would be able to bring them a miracle when they were in a desperate situation? Reporting. Supreme Elder, it's not good. A large group of experts is approaching the celestial spirit realm. At this moment, a panicked voice sounded outside the main hall. Then, a disciple of the Tianma cult, sweating profusely, rushed in. He looked flustered, and there was even fear in his eyes. A large group of experts? Hearing this, the Supreme Elder frowned. Everyone in the main hall was stunned. Could it be those experts from the divine domain were coming? Everyone's heart sank. Let's go. Prepare to meet the enemy, the Supreme Elder said in a deep voice. Then, he slowly got up and walked out of the main hall. Even if the experts from the divine domain came, they had no way to retreat. They could only fight. Amen. In the main hall, everyone nodded. At this moment, dark clouds covered the skies above the heavenly demon cult. In fact, One could even vaguely make out countless figures within the dark clouds, emitting a tremendous aura that pressed down on the entire heavenly demon cult, immobilizing them. Below the sky, the disciples of the Tianma cult were nervous, and their expressions were grave. They all knew that a great battle was about to come. In the Tianma cult square, below the legendary patriarch statue, a young junior sister hugged her senior sister tightly. Looking at the strange phenomenon in the sky, her eyes were filled with fear. Her senior sister could only hug her gently, caressing her head and comforting her. However, her senior sister's eyes were also solemn. Senior sister, will the patriarch save the Tianma cult like last time? The little junior sister looked up at the stone statue, her large eyes filled with longing. She was a new disciple of the heavenly demon cult, but she had already engraved the deeds of her ancestral master deep in her heart, and every new disciple of the heavenly demon cult would have longing for him. That man. He was the legend of the Tianma cult and everyone's faith. When the junior sister said this, many of the surrounding Tianma cult disciples looked at her. The senior sister was silent. After a while, she smiled. Yes, the patriarch will definitely appear. After all, back in Shanghai City, the patriarch saved us. The senior sister smiled. She was Lan Lingling, whom Ning Tian had saved in Shanghai City. After so many years, she was now the eldest senior sister. Things had remained the same, but people had changed. 289 appearances. Yes, the patriarch will definitely save us again. Hearing Lan Lingling's words, the junior sister and the new disciples of the Tianma cult all nodded heavily. Their eyes were shining, and their hearts were filled with hope. Will the patriarch really appear again? Seeing this, Lan Lingling muttered inside, Junior brothers of the Tianma cult, from now on, we may face an invincible enemy, but the Tianma cult will always be with us. As long as we live, the celestial demons will exist. As long as we die, the celestial demons will still exist. At this moment, a clear voice rang out from the Tianma cult square. The eldest disciple of the Tianma cult, Li Changsheng, chapter 27 appearances, looked at all the disciples. Now that his strength had reached peak celestial venerable, his aura was different from before. Yes, eldest senior brother is right. As long as we live, the celestial demons will still exist. Even if we die, the Tianma cult will not be destroyed. For the patriarch, Li Changsheng's words stirred up the passion in the hearts of all the Tianma cult disciples. They were used to hearing about the patriarch's legend, and their hearts were filled with passion. They were the kind of people they believed in. Everyone, put on the Iron Yuan armor. The Iron Yuan armor was personally modified by the patriarch, and it's incomparably powerful. At the side, Lin Hao of the Forging Hall looked at the Tianma cult disciples and slowly said, Yes, senior brother Lin. When they heard that the Iron Yuan armor had been modified by the patriarch, the hearts of the Tianma cult disciples were filled with hope. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, a wave of energy swept over them. The Grand Elder and the other Tianma cult elders appeared in front of the Tianma cult disciples. Chapter 672. Everyone, prepare to meet the enemy. The Grand Elder narrowed his eyes and looked at the sky. A powerful great emperor aura flowed out of his body and enveloped everyone. He could already feel the powerful aura in the sky. This aura seems a little off. It doesn't feel like the aura of a God realm expert, he murmured. Meet the enemy? It's not that I want to say this, but Grand Elder, how dare your puny sky demon cult attack a divine envoy of the divine realm? You're overestimating yourselves. In the sky, a cold and indifferent voice sounded. Then, tens of thousands of figures appeared in the sky. There were 1,000,000 cultivators around the Tianma cult. They raised their ice blades and looked at each other, ready to attack without saying a word. This is experts from the other 7 domains? Seeing this, Moon Spirit frowned slightly. Confusion flashed through her beautiful eyes. Why would experts from the other 7 domains appear here? What do you want to do? The Grand Elder frowned. Among these tens of thousands of figures, There were at least thousands of god emperors and hundreds of great emperors. It would be easy for such a lineup to destroy the Tianma cult. These were the top experts of the other 7 domains. What do we want to do? Haha. In the sky, a sand dune expert laughed loudly. His eyes were full of sarcasm. He said calmly, "Of course, we want to destroy the Tianma cult." The God Realm Divine Envoy said that as long as we destroy the Tianma cult, they won't stop us from ascending to the God Realm. What? Hearing this, the Grand Elder's expression changed drastically. Moon Spirit and the others' faces darkened. This God Realm Divine Envoy is really AF * King Dog. On the side, Zhu Yuanbua bit his horsewhip and cursed. If all the experts of the 9 domains joined forces, they might be able to fight the God Realm Divine Envoy head-on. However, if they targeted the Tianma cult, all their troubles would be easily solved. The Tianma cult was now the strongest force in the 9 domains. Even so, they couldn't resist the joint attack of the other 7 domains. What is this God Realm Divine Envoy trying to do? The Grand Elder gritted his teeth. The anger in his heart was so great that he wanted to take out 10 million Imperial Maiden paintings and smash them to death. No matter what they want to do, the fact that they have attacked us cannot be changed. The only thing we can do is to face the enemy and fight. Moon Spirit shook her head. Even though there were tens of thousands of experts against her, as the Moon Emperor, she still maintained absolute calm. Even if there are millions of corpses, we will never yield either. Moon Spirit said indifferently, millions of corpses. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts. All the disciples of the Tianma cult were filled with fighting spirit. Old Emperor, it seems like your daughter has really grown up. Heavenly Treasure Sacred Lord sighed and looked at Moon Spirit enviously. Why was it that they were all juniors? Why did that fatty from his sacred ground only know how to eat horse meat every day? At the side, the Divine Nation Lord revealed a gratified smile. For the Patriarch, head can be broken, blood can flow, but Heavenly Devil Patriarch cannot be humiliated. The Tianma cult disciples roared, These guys, what's wrong with them? Why aren't these guys from the Tianma cult afraid at all? In the sky, seeing this scene, the experts from the 7 major territories were stunned. They looked at the Tianma cult disciples who were extremely calm and even wanted to kill them. They were all stunned. Facing the encirclement of experts from the 7 territories, the Tianma cult disciples did not panic at all. However, they did not know what was going on. The Tianma cult disciples had carefully studied the Patriarch's survival rules. They should not panic in the face of a strong enemy. Panicking would also lead to death. It was better to adjust their mentality and try to kill them. What if they succeeded? Under such circumstances, the Tianma cult disciples all had a good mentality. Under such circumstances, even if they panicked, they were not too afraid. Patriarch? Do you really think that your Patriarch can still be awe-inspiring in the God Realm? As long as we destroy you and ascend to the God Realm with the help of the God Realm's Divine Envoy, even the Patriarch of the Tianma cult, who has already entered the God Realm, is nothing. I'm afraid your Patriarch has already become an ordinary person in the God Realm. In the sky, the sand dune expert sneered. In his opinion, the Patriarch of the Tianma cult was a joke. How dare a mere 7 tribulations great emperor insult our Patriarch? At this moment, a cold female voice sounded, and then a powerful 9 tribulations great emperor aura attacked the sand dune expert. Boom. What? 9 tribulations great emperor? The sand dune expert's expression changed drastically. However, at this moment, the aura of a 9 tribulations great emperor also swept over from the 7 territories and blocked the attack. The sand dune expert's life was spared. Thank you for your help, Patriarch Haitian. The sand dune expert breathed a sigh of relief and hurriedly looked at the 9 tribulations great emperor and thanked him. Humph. Denai Hongi of the ethereal sect in the firmament territory is indeed worthy of her reputation. The 9 tribulations great emperor flung his sleeves and snorted coldly. In the sky, a group of people also appeared from the void. This group of people were also Ning Tian's old acquaintances. Denai Hongi, Yu Qin, Tian Mei, Tian Xiang, and the Fox Clan's experts, as well as the Immortal Dragon Clan's experts. Yaoshi had also arrived in time with the Jade Lake Sacred Ground. This was the complete Tianma cult. Phew. With sect leader and I and the others, we should be able to alleviate the situation. Seeing this scene, the Supreme Elder heaved a sigh of relief. It would be difficult for them to deal with the experts from the 7 territories alone, but with the help of the Firmament Territories forces, even if they could not, they should at least be able to put up a fight. After all, in the past few years, the Tianma cult had not been called the strongest force for nothing. Boom. The sky was covered by dark clouds. Waves of powerful aura enveloped the surroundings. Tianma cult, today is the day of your destruction. In the sky, Patriarch He Xian looked coldly at the people from the Tianma cult and said indifferently, he was already a 9 tribulations great emperor. As long as he destroyed the Tianma cult, he could use the help of the God Realm's divine envoy to forcibly ascend to the God Realm. Therefore, he was duty-bound to destroy the Tianma cult. I'll destroy your horse. Black-haired old man, believe it or not, I'll whip you to death with my horsewhip. Patriarch He Xian had obviously underestimated the quality of the people from the Tianma cult. Zhu Yuanbua directly picked up a horsewhip and threw it at Patriarch He Xian's face. My homemade horsewhip bomb is indeed powerful. Yuqin, quick, take out the horsewhip I want. Seeing that the whip had succeeded, Zhu Yuanbua's lips curled into a smile. Okay, Yuqin chuckled. I took the opportunity to steal many horses from the 7 territories. Don't worry, I have enough horsewhips for today. Yuqin was still the same as before. The 9 territories horse hunter deserved her reputation. Damn it, you're really stubborn. You're digging your own grave. Patriarch He Xian flung the barbecued horsewhip away from his face and coldly looked at the people from the Tianma cult. It's you. You're courting death. I'll release 3 chapters first. There are 2 more to go. I originally wanted to release all 5 chapters together, but it would be too late by the time I finished writing all 5 chapters, so I'll release 3 chapters first. Chapter 673. Hey, old man with black hair. Although the whip is poisonous, it's still a great tonic. Don't you think it's too wasteful to throw it away without even taking a bite? Zhu Yuanbua, who loved horses, strongly condemned old ancestor He Xian for wasting food. Damn fatty. Shut up. Old ancestor He Xian's veins bulged as his 9 tribulations aura burst out. He waved his hand and attacked Zhu Yuanbua. Damn. Sure enough, after reading the 108 Ways of Infuriating People, the ancestral master can really infuriate people. Seeing this scene, Zhu Yuanbao cried out in surprise, and then hurriedly roared. Sect leader and I, help? Humph. And I Hongi snorted. Although she was a 9 tribulations great emperor, her strength was infinitely close to that of a demigod. Facing old ancestor He Xian's attack, she was not afraid at all. She stood in front of Zhu Yuanbua and waved her hand. Boom. The aura of 2 9 tribulations great emperors instantly swept across the sky. Sect leader and I is so powerful. Moon Spirit's beautiful eyes flashed. Enai Hongi had become a 7 tribulations great emperor a few years ago. However, she did not choose to enter the ancient road to godhood. Instead, she stayed in the 9 regions. After a few years of cultivation, Enai Hongi's strength was top-notch even in the 9 regions. Things have come to this point. Kill them. The Supreme Elder glanced at the Imperial Lady painting silently and said slowly. This might be the last time he looked at it. Okay. Kill. Kill these lackeys of the Divine Envoy. The atmosphere gradually became tense. Everyone's eyes were filled with killing intent as they looked at the sky. Lackeys? You're not even qualified to be lackeys. The expert from the Sand Dune tribe sneered. The tens of thousands of experts behind him were also gloating. If we can be humans, why should we be lackeys? Moon Spirit said lightly. What did you say? Hearing this, the expert from the Sand Dune tribe changed his expression. The experts from the 7 regions could no longer laugh. They were dead meat. Kill. These words seemed to have ignited the final fuse. The battle. It was on the verge of erupting. Millions of cultivators from the 7 domains surged with spiritual qi. They raised the spiritual weapons in their hands and charged toward the Tianma cult disciples. Begin. Li Changsheng, who was wearing the iron elemental armor and holding his spirit sword high, looked at the Tianma cult disciples and shouted, "Kill! Kill! Kill!" Sounds of slaughter could be heard continuously. Very soon, the spiritual energy in the heavenly spirit domain had reached an extremely terrifying level. The spiritual energy in the surroundings surged, and one could only hear the sounds of slaughter. Blood splattered everywhere, and corpses floated for thousands of miles. Boom! In the sky, the collisions between the powerhouses were endless. Down below, although the Tianma cult was brave, they were outnumbered. It could be said that they were in a desperate situation, and tragic cries rang out continuously. "Senior brother, don't worry about me. It's not a loss for me to kill one, but it's a gain for me to kill another one. Ha ha ha. Just kill him. Don't worry about me. Damn it. Why are these guys from the Tianma cult so brave?" Although the cultivators from the 7 domains had the upper hand, it was very difficult for them to do so. They relied entirely on their advantage in numbers. Although the Tianma cult had fewer cultivators, they were very brave. If it weren't for the fact that there were more cultivators from the 7 domains, they might not have been able to suppress them. However, in this kind of battle, they still had to rely on the powerhouses in the sky. The great emperor's aura continued to spread in all directions. The sky darkened because of this. Damn it, this woman is so strong. Old ancestor He Xian's face was a little ugly. His gaze fell on an Ihongi. However, I just need to hold this woman back. He looked around. The Tianma cult was basically suppressed by the powerhouses from the 7 domains. Although the process of suppression was somewhat difficult, it still played a role in suppressing them. It couldn't be said that the Tianma cult was too weak. On the contrary, the Tianma cult's strength had exceeded their expectations. One had to know that the powerhouses from the 7 domains had gathered here. They were supposed to have a lineup that could kill anything, but now they were in a stalemate with the Tianma cult. This was enough to prove the strength of the Tianma cult. Cut the crap. An Ihongi snorted coldly. She naturally knew the situation, so she wanted to end the battle quickly and free up her hands to help the others. Obviously, old ancestor He Xian knew what she was thinking and deliberately delayed the battle. "Grand Elder, I heard that your Tianma cult's religion is the patriarch?" The sand dune powerhouse who was fighting with the Grand Elder suddenly sneered. His indifferent gaze inadvertently glanced at the statue beside him and said indifferently, "What are you trying to do?" The Grand Elder's expression changed. He no longer hesitated and directly flew toward the statue. This little sand dune wanted to destroy the patriarch's statue. Of course, I'm going to destroy your ridiculous Tianma cult's religion." The sand dune powerhouse sneered. Then, he waved his hand, and the aura of the 7 tribulations flowed. His spiritual energy swept up the sand on the ground, and he threw a punch at the statue standing tall in the Tianma cult's square. "I'd like to see if you can still be so arrogant after I destroy your religion." Boom, boom, boom. Sand flowed wildly as spiritual energy condensed on his fist and then exploded. "Patriarch? This little sand dune wants to destroy the patriarch's statue." Seeing this scene, the expressions of Zhu Yuanbua and the other Tianma cult members changed drastically. Their religion couldn't be destroyed. Boom. Haha. The sand dune powerhouse laughed wildly. Everyone knew that the patriarch of the Tianma cult was the religion of the Tianma cult. If he destroyed the religion of the Tianma cult, wouldn't the Tianma cult's combat strength be greatly reduced? The powerhouses from the 7 domains began to look forward to it. Under everyone's watchful eyes, the fist condensed by the violent sand had already landed on the patriarch's statue. Even if the Grand Elder wanted to stop it, it was already too late. Boom, boom. The punch seemed to shake heaven and earth. However, in the Tianma cult square, the patriarch's statue still stood intact in front of everyone's eyes and in the hearts of all the Tianma cult disciples. The patriarch's statue didn't break? Ha ha ha. This must be the Patriarch's blessing. You people aren't worthy of destroying the Patriarch's statue. You don't have the right. Haha, the Patriarch is awesome and will always be a god. Seeing this scene, the eyes of the Tianma cult disciples were full of excitement. They unconsciously shouted the mantra. In their opinion, this was simply a miracle. After all, that was the full-strength punch of a 7 tribulations great emperor. The Patriarch's statue was only made of stone, so it didn't break from the punch. This was simply a great boost to their morale. What? The emperor doesn't believe it. The sand dune powerhouse's expression was extremely ugly. Feeling humiliated, he punched out again. However, the punch landed. In the Tianma cult square, the Patriarch's statue flickered with golden light. An aura erupted from the statue and swept out in all directions. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the sand dune powerhouse exploded and died in an instant. What? Heaven and earth were shocked at this scene. There's still one more chapter. Why did someone say that it's all nonsense? If I don't write a great battle like this, I won't be able to set the atmosphere. I'll say that I don't feel anything, and when I write it, it's just water. It's too difficult for me. Chapter 674. It wasn't just the sand dune. Wherever the aura went, many experts from the 7 regions were instantly killed. In the sky, experts from the 7 regions were enveloped by the aura, then turned into clouds of blood and exploded. What? Even great emperors are capable of instantly killing him? Get out of the way. Seeing this scene, the experts from the 7 regions were somewhat flustered. No, it wasn't exactly fluster, but a kind of fear. The aura that erupted from the Patriarch's stone statue directly ignored the experts from the Tianma cult and directly caught them and killed them. Boom, boom. However, this powerful aura merely swept over and dissipated into the world. Even so, it directly took away a quarter of the experts from the 7 regions. In an instant, the experts in the sky exploded into clouds of blood, as if it was raining blood. For a moment, the experts from the 7 regions were flustered, their eyes filled with fear. Could it be? Had the Patriarch of the Tianma cult really performed a miracle? Ha ha ha, the Patriarch is awesome. He will always be a god. Zhu Yuanbo laughed wildly, excitedly grabbed a roasted horsewhip and stuffed it into his mouth. The eyes of the disciples of the Tianma cult were also shining with a golden light. Could it be that the Patriarch was really going to bring them another miracle? Boom, boom. At this moment, in the Tianma cult square, the Patriarch's stone statue that stood erect shook. At this moment, everyone stopped at the same time. It wasn't that they didn't want to move, but they didn't dare to move, because no one knew what strange things would erupt from the Patriarch's stone statue next. They were all very afraid. Buzz. At this moment, under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, the Patriarch's stone statue finally moved. They saw. The stone statue was shining with a golden light. The golden light rushed into the sky, illuminating the sky above the heavenly spirit realm. A golden light appeared on every member of the Tianma cult. What's that? Looking at the sky. That burst of golden light. Looking at the golden light emitted by every member of the Tianma cult, the experts from the 7 regions were all stunned. Deep confusion flashed through their eyes. What was going on? Why did the Tianma cult have so many tricks up their sleeves? Hiss, not good. This old man has an extremely bad feeling. Old ancestor He Xian muttered with a frown on his face. Boom. At this moment, a golden light shrouded the area. A tremendous aura abruptly erupted from the bodies of the heavenly demon cultists. Boom. Boom. His aura continued to rise, and his clothes fluttered in the wind. This is the F*CK? How did Lord Fatty break through to the great emperor realm? No, he's not a great emperor. First tribulation. Second stage. What the F*CK? I can't stop. Am I a F*King 9 tribulations great emperor now? At this moment, the silence between heaven and earth was broken by Zhu Yuanbo's exclamation. He saw. Zhu Yuanbu's aura continued to rise. Wind and lightning surged around his body. This was the lightning tribulation of the arch. However, it didn't seem like it, but his strength had indeed risen to the level of a 9 tribulations great emperor. Huh? What's going on? Wasn't this brat still in the God Emperor realm earlier? How did he become a 9 tribulations great emperor in the blink of an eye? Old ancestor He Xian was stunned. No, no, no. The F asterisk Sige. It's not just this damn fatty. It's all the Tianma cult members. They're all going to become 9 tribulations great emperors. At this moment, exclamations came from the side. Swoosh, swoosh. Everyone looked over and saw that everyone in the Tianma cult was shrouded in golden light. There was a huge amount of spiritual energy on their bodies, and their clothes were fluttering. The wind and lightning on their bodies were also very similar to the lightning tribulation of a great emperor. However, the wind and lightning didn't hurt them at all. In the blink of an eye, they turned into endless power. The F asterisk CK. All of them. 9 tribulations great emperors? Seeing this scene, old ancestor He Xian exploded. The experts of the 7 regions felt like they were dreaming. Why, in the blink of an eye, everyone in the Tianma cult had reached the level of a 9 tribulations great emperor. This didn't conform to the study of cultivators. What did you do? Old ancestor He Xian's voice was trembling. Facing all the 9 tribulations great emperors of the Tianma cult, they had no chance of winning. How would this old man know? The supreme elder scratched his head. Not to mention the experts of the 7 regions, even the people of the Tianma cult were dumbfounded. How could their strength reach the level of a 9 tribulations great emperor out of nowhere? This was also inconceivable to them. However, although they were dumbfounded, at least they knew what to do now. All of that was naturally because Ning Tian had obtained the Ancestral Master's Faith ability. The Ancestral Master's stone statue that stood erect in the Sky Demon Cult Square was imbued with powerful faith, and with the condensation of faith, what burst out was naturally a cluster of faith light. The function of the light of faith was to temporarily raise the strength of the Patriarch's believers to the level of a 9 tribulations great emperor. Although it was only temporary, it was enough. And now, it was the Tianma cult's counterattack. In an instant, the group of 9 tribulations great emperors of the Tianma cult rushed over, scaring the experts of the 7 regions so much that they didn't even have the courage to resist. This was the first time in their lives that they had seen so many 9 tribulations great emperors, let alone fighting against them. Divine Envoy, save us. Seeing this scene, Patriarch He Xian's expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly shouted. Now, the situation was no longer something they could control. How strange. All of them are 9 tribulations great emperors. It seems that this Tianling region has more than one secret. As Patriarch He Xian's voice faded, a faint voice sounded in the sky. They saw a young man stepped out of the void, and several auras followed behind him. Every aura was enough to crush everyone. An ancestor god from the god realm? Seeing this scene, the Grand Elder's expression changed drastically. Ancestor god? Old man, aren't you looking down on me too much? This god, but you're a heavenly god. A ruthless glint flashed in the young man's eyes, and he directly slapped the Grand Elder. Boom! The aura of a heavenly god erupted, not to mention a great emperor. Even an ancestor god would die. Bang! In an instant, the Grand Elder was directly smashed into meat paste, and his storage ring was shattered. Countless copies of the Imperial Maiden portrait scattered in all directions. At this moment, everyone's faces were pale, and their pupils suddenly shrank. Grand Elder. The people of the Tianma cult cried out in heart-wrenching voices. Everyone's eyes were red, and they were filled with desolation. Grand Elder. He was slapped to death in front of them just like that? At this moment, the crowd, who had just seen a glimmer of hope, fell into despair in an instant when they were just heavenly gods. Ha ha ha, Tianma cult, this old man wants to see how you can still be arrogant. At the side, Patriarch He Xian laughed loudly. Did this god allow you to speak? The ruthless young man frowned slightly and glanced indifferently at Patriarch He Xian. Lord Divine Envoy, this old man. Patriarch He Xian panicked, but before he could finish his words, the palm fell again, and Patriarch He Xian was directly smashed into pieces. What? Seeing this scene, the expressions of the experts of the 7 regions changed drastically. Haha. Now, no one can stop this heavenly god's massacre. There's so much blood. It should be enough to affect this place. It's better to gather together to kill. The ruthless heavenly god laughed loudly. Instantly, everyone's heart sank. Could it be that the heavenly spirit realm would be stained with blood today? So noisy. However, right at this moment, a faint voice sounded. Everyone suddenly turned their heads, and even the ruthless heavenly god looked over. They saw, on the patriarch's stone statue erected in the Tianma cult square, a black-clothed young man was standing on the head of the stone statue. His expression was indifferent, as if he was looking at a group of ants. Under everyone's gaze, he slowly raised his hand and pointed it at the Grand Elder, who had already turned into a pile of meat paste, and uttered 2 words indifferently. Life. The 5th watch has arrived. Chapter 675. The 2 words fell. A bright green light appeared in the hand of the young man standing on the ancestral stone statue in the Tianma cult square, exuding endless vitality. The young man did not stop what he was doing. He raised his other hand and murmured again. Time. Tick. Everyone seemed to hear a ticking sound in their ears. They saw. The Grand Elder, who had turned into a meatball, began to recover at this moment. This scene. It was as if time was flowing backward. In the blink of an eye, the Grand Elder's body was restored to its original state. That's right. This was indeed a new ability brought about by the improvement of the law of time. Ning Tian's current control of time laws had already reached the level where he could control the time of others. Of course, the time of others depended on one's strength. All he had done was restore the Grand Elder's body to the state it had been when it had been flattened by a single punch. When the body was restored, the law of life in Ning Tian's hand turned into a chain of life, locking the Grand Elder's soul and directly bringing his soul back to his body. And because of this, the Earth spirit world had one less business. Since the improvement of all the laws he had mastered, the law of life could now resurrect some creatures that had just died, and he did not need to kill them. But to resurrect, there were 2 criteria. First, the opponent's strength, and second, the time of death. Ning Tian's strength was far beyond the Grand Elder's, and the Grand Elder had just died, so naturally, he could be resurrected without any pressure. This old man is still alive? On the ground, the Grand Elder suddenly opened his eyes, and after a moment of shock, he burst out, "No, I can die, but I can't lose the Imperial Daughter portrait." This old man's Imperial Daughter portrait. Seeing this scene, the people of the Tianma cult, who were originally worried, heaved a sigh of relief, and then raised their excited eyes to look at the stone statue. This voice, this figure, how could they not be familiar with it? This was the legend of the Tianma cult, the belief of the entire Tianma cult. They had already engraved Ning Tian's appearance in their hearts. You, who are you? The ruthless heavenly god looked at the black-clothed youth on the stone statue with an expression of disbelief. His body couldn't help but tremble. Just now, he clearly saw that old man being slapped to death by that black-clothed youth. Does the ancient god Cloud Atlas only send out trash? You don't even know whose territory the Tianma cult is, yet you dare to make a move at will? Ning Tian looked at the ruthless heavenly god indifferently, as if he was looking at an ant. You, how did you know of our existence? You, who exactly are you? The ruthless heavenly god's body trembled. As a 5-star heavenly god, he actually couldn't see through this young man at all. In fact, he even felt a strong sense of fear in his heart. Looks like your position in the ancient god cloud map isn't high. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth curled up slightly, and a cold glint flashed in his eyes. He said indifferently, in the 9 zones, "I am the patriarch of the Tianma cult. In the divine realm, I am the heavenly palace's ancestral master, patriarch of the Tianma cult. He's actually the patriarch of the Tianma cult. Didn't the legendary patriarch go to the deity realm? Could it be he's back? And from the looks of it, the divine envoy of the deity realm is very afraid of the Tianma cult's legendary patriarch. Upon hearing Ning Tian's words, the expressions of the surrounding experts of the seven zones changed drastically, and their eyes were filled with intense fear. What? The heavenly palace? You're from the heavenly palace? In an instant, in the sky, the ruthless heavenly god was trembling with fear. He hurriedly shouted at his subordinates beside him, "Go! Stop him, quickly! I didn't expect the heavenly palace's patriarch to actually come back. This matter must be reported to the ancient god." As soon as he finished speaking, the surrounding ancestral god subordinates didn't dare to move at all. "What are you doing?" The ruthless heavenly god swallowed his saliva and suddenly turned around. However, behind him, the ancestral god subordinates didn't dare to move at all. Two peerless beauties appeared beside them. One of them was dressed in a blue and white robe. Her beautiful face was cold, and flames surrounded her body as if they were about to freeze one's soul. The other was dressed in a purple robe and had 9 fox tails swaying in the wind. This is the Empress and the Holy Master. They're back too. Seeing the two beauties in the sky, the Grand Elder, Yao Shi, and the rest of the Tianma cult members' eyes flashed with excitement. They didn't expect that not only had the patriarch returned, but even the Empress and the Holy Master had returned. For a moment, everyone's eyes were wet, and they were filled with passion. Sure enough, in the most dangerous times, their faith would always come to their rescue, just like it had in the past. "It's just 2 women. Why aren't you moving?" "What?" Before the ruthless heavenly god could finish his order, his pupils suddenly shrank. He saw the 2 women merely raise their lily-white hands and casually press down on the ancestral gods. Boom! In an instant, the ancestral gods were like watermelons that had exploded, and they were instantly reduced to a bloody mist. With a raise of their hands, even the ancestral gods had to die. Hiss! Holy shit! The Empress and the Holy Master are so powerful. Seeing this scene, the Grand Elder and the others' faces changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with deep shock. They originally thought that after so many years, the Empress and the Holy Master should be around the ancestral god level, no matter how strong their aptitudes were. However, it didn't seem to be the case at all. With a raise of their hands, the ancestral gods died. Then, what realm had their strength reached? Seeing this scene, Moon Spirit and Inaihangi were shocked and a little disappointed at the same time. Their eyes fell on the young man who was still on the stone statue, and they sighed deeply. Even though they had worked very hard to cultivate in the past few years, however, they were still far from catching up to the patriarch's footsteps. The gap between them was getting bigger and bigger. The only women who could stay by the patriarch's side were the Empress and the Holy Master. At this moment, Ning Tian didn't know what the 2 women were thinking. He took a step into the void and appeared in front of the ruthless, heavenly god in the blink of an eye. A pair of emotionless eyes fell on the ruthless heavenly god. "You, what are you trying to do?" The ruthless heavenly god subconsciously retreated. Then, a trace of killing intent flashed in his eyes. A spiritual energy spear condensed in his hand. He raised the spear high and thrust it at Ning Tian. "Die, brat! Patriarch, be careful." Seeing this scene, the Tianma cult's people tensed up. Although they didn't know the patriarch's strength, he was a heavenly god. However, when the ruthless heavenly god raised the spear in his hand and thrust it at Ning Tian looked over indifferently. A black aura flowed out of his eyes. In an instant, the ruthless heavenly god's pupils shrank. He didn't even have time to scream before his body was swallowed by the black aura. That was the eye of death. For a moment, the world seemed to have quieted down. Ning Tian used his actions to tell everyone that the god they thought was just an ant. Still writing. Chapter 676. Hiss. When the world fell silent, the sound of a sharp intake of breath broke the silence. Whether it was the Tianma cult or the experts of the seven regions, they all looked at Ning Tian in horror. The patriarch of the Tianma cult was so terrifying. It was just a glance. The ruthless god, who was invincible in everyone's eyes, died just like that. It turned out that even the patriarch's gaze could kill. The world fell into a deathly silence. At this moment, millions of eyes filled with shock, fear, and reverence landed on Ning Tian. You shocked Zhu Yuanbua. You shocked the Grand Elder. You shocked Yueling. You shocked an Ihongyi. You shocked Yu Qin. You shocked heavenly charm and heavenly fragrance. You shocked everyone in the Tianma cult. You shocked the experts of the seven regions. At this moment, the system's voice sounded in Ning Tian's mind. One familiar name after another fell into his ears. Reward. The patriarch's faith has been upgraded. The patriarch's faith can be used together with the faith of the human's heart. The patriarch is awesome. The patriarch is the eternal god. Haha. As expected of the legendary patriarch of the Tianma cult. Wait, I must treat the patriarch to 10 whips. No, 100 whips. Below the sky, Zhu Yuanbua held the barbecued horsewhip and laughed loudly, instantly breaking the silence. The legendary patriarch, the eternal god. At this moment, the experts of the seven regions' hearts were beating wildly. They muttered softly, their eyes full of fear. Today, the seven regions should be led by the divine envoys to flatten the Tianma cult and then smoothly ascend to the divine realm. But everything was completely changed because of the appearance of the patriarch of the Tianma cult. In the sky, Ning Tian was not in a hurry to meet with his old friends. He looked at the two women and asked with a frown, "Wife, did you only feel these few auras? Now in the 9 regions, there are only these few divine realm experts in the ancient god cloud map?" "Yes, there are indeed only a few elder gods." Luo Wuqing nodded slightly. A cold glint flashed in her beautiful eyes. She said indifferently, "However, perhaps there are experts that we can't sense. They haven't appeared yet." An ancient god realm expert? Ning Tian frowned slightly. Indeed, if there were any experts in the 9 regions that the two women couldn't sense, then they could only be ancient god realm experts. When they left the god realm and came to the 9 regions, they had already sensed the movements in the 7 regions. When Ning Tian attacked, he also asked the two girls to scout the surroundings to see if there were any remaining powerhouses of the ancient god cloud atlas. Because he understood, the goal of the ancient god cloud atlas might not be limited to this. The real goal of the ancient god cloud atlas might not be to attack the Tianma cult. Ning Tian looked at the thousands of miles of floating corpses and rivers of blood. After a moment of silence, a glint flashed in his eyes as he slowly spoke. The ancient god cloud atlas had no reason to attack the Tianma cult. Even if they knew that he was the one behind the Tianma cult, they wouldn't attack the Tianma cult. The ancient god cloud atlas had never targeted him. Their goal had always been to deal with the dark turmoil. The dark turmoil, rivers of blood. The spirit chi of the 9 regions is gathered here. Once the spirit chi exceeds the capacity of a region, it may cause a seal, and it may gush out. Ning Tian murmured softly, his eyes full of light. The spirit chi of a spirit region was like water in a cup. If the spirit chi exceeded the limit, it would overflow like the water in the cup. And all the spirit chi of the heavenly spirit region. It was all in the land of divine fall tribulation. Ning Tian suddenly came to her senses. From the beginning, the ancient god cloud atlas target had never been the Tianma cult. Their target was one of the 4 great seals, the land of divine fall tribulation. They deceived the experts of the 7 regions and killed the Tianma cult just to lure the experts of the 9 regions to the heavenly spirit region. They wanted the spirit chi here to be unbalanced, and the experts' blood would flow all over the land. Then, they could destroy the seal of the land of divine fall tribulation. It had to be said, the ancient god cloud atlas had calculated everything. It seems that the ancient gods of the ancient generation have come to the heavenly spirit region. Why aren't these guys suppressed by the heavenly Tao? Ning Tian clenched his teeth, his heart full of doubts. The ancient generation was the strongest generation of the ancient god cloud atlas. They were probably ancient gods of the sovereign realm. Ning Tian no longer hesitated. He looked at Luo Wuqing and instructed, "Honey, you guys suppress the cultivators of the 7 regions first. If anyone refuses to obey, just kill them. I'll go to the land of divine fall tribulation to save our father first." Okay. With us here, these cultivators won't dare to be presumptuous. Luo Wuqing nodded slightly at Ning Tian's words. Her pretty face was frosty. Although she was also worried about Qin Luo, it was obvious that they were needed here. Even if they went, they wouldn't be of much help. It was better to trust Ning Tian. "Don't worry. I won't let anything happen to our father," Ning Tian said to Luo Wuqing. Then, he stepped into the void. The land of divine fall. Or rather, the land of divine fall tribulation. When Ning Tian first came here, he was still in the heavenly venerable realm. At that time, he obtained the Buddha demon pagoda here. This was probably the first time he came into contact with the darkness. Now, he was already in the heavenly god realm. It could be said that things had remained the same, but people had changed. In the void, Ning Tian took a step forward. As expected, there's a powerful aura, but why doesn't the heavenly Tao's aura exist here? When Ning Tian appeared here, he felt a series of thunderous sounds coming from the deepest part of the land of divine fall. It seemed that Qin Luo and the people of the ancient god cloud atlas had started fighting. But why did the heavenly Tao's aura that should exist here disappear? Forget it. I'll study it later. Ning Tian frowned. Then, he rushed toward the land of divine fall. "Qin Luo, you have to hang in there. It doesn't matter if you die. Don't make my wife sad." Qin Luo, ? At this moment, the land of the fallen gods. This was the place where Ning Tian had obtained the Buddha's demon pagoda. At this moment, strong winds were blowing here, and the sky was blood red. 3 terrifying auras were constantly colliding, and every time they collided, even the void would be shattered. Boom, boom. Even a supreme ancient god would be suppressed by such an aura. Qin Luo, you stole the heaven and earth cauldron millions of years ago. You caused the ancient god cloud atlas's plan to fail. Now, you have to pay for it. A demonic figure covered in black gas slammed his palm toward the bearded man. He was laughing strangely. *T. I borrowed it. You're the one who stole it. That familiar voice sounded. Qin Luo slapped the demonic sound away, but he didn't forget to curse. Boom. 2 ancient god sovereign shadows shot forward. Another white-haired, middle-aged man holding a sword looked at Qin Luo coldly and said, as expected of someone who was as famous as the ice god a million years ago, "You're indeed powerful, but you're bound by a seal now, right?" "Huh, so what if I'm bound? Isn't it easy for me to beat you 2 little brats?" I just didn't expect the famous sword sage to be in cahoots with the ancient god cloud atlas. Qin Luo sneered. "If you owe 1 update, you'll get 4 updates tomorrow. If you make up for it, you'll get 5 updates tomorrow." Book Friend 5 Group 976736595. Only this group has a spot. Those who have joined the other 4 groups, don't join. Give some spots to others. Chapter 677. Colluding with Evil? Heh. Hearing Qin Luo's sneer, the white-haired sword saint couldn't help but sneer. He raised the sharp sword in his hand and slightly shook his arm. In an instant, the blade of the sword was wrapped in a strange black energy, becoming incomparably sharp. Do you see? This is true power. Even, this power surpasses spirit energy. This is the power of chaos hidden in the darkness. Looking at the black aura on the sword, the white-haired sword saint's eyes were bloodshot and filled with madness. The demon race experts beside him also had black aura on them. According to them, the black aura on them was the power of chaos hidden in the darkness. Really, Stubborn. Qin Luo shook his head helplessly and looked at the two ancient god sovereigns in front of him. They were ancient gods of the ancient god Yun Tu's generation and had the strength of a two-star ancient god sovereign. If it was a one-on-one fight, he naturally wouldn't lose. Even if the two of them attacked at the same time, he could still contend with them. But Qin Luo's eyes inadvertently glanced to the side where the seal of the land of god perdition was. Now that the spirit energy in the heaven spirit region had become very strong and the blood energy was hazy, it was very likely that it would damage the seal. In other words, he had to fight the two-star ancient god sovereigns and guard against the seal of the land of god perdition being damaged. Damn it, ancient god Yun Tu, these guys are really annoying. Qin Luo cursed in his heart and released all his spirit energy. Hee, Sword Saint. Why are you still talking nonsense with this guy? It wasn't easy to absorb the power of darkness and come out of seclusion. Naturally, I have to fight to my heart's content. I can't wait to use this power. At the side, the black figure filled with demonic aura laughed strangely. Demon God Black Flame, hundreds of thousands of years ago, the demon emperor of the demon race died because of you. I didn't expect that he would join the ancient god Yun Tu and break through to become an ancient god sovereign. Qin Luo frowned slightly as he looked indifferently at the black figure. How unlucky. Even trash like you can become an ancient god sovereign. As expected of the million-year-old god of cursing, the demonic god Black Flame's mouth twitched, and a ferocious glint appeared in his eyes. He gritted his teeth and said, "It's all thanks to the power of darkness that I can achieve such a breakthrough. Today, you will also become my nourishment." Sword Saint, go. His voice fell. Two enormous auras attacked Qin Luo. The white-haired Sword Saint and the black flame demon god weren't weak to begin with, and with the support of the strange dark force, their strength reached a terrifying level. Humph. Divine Flame. Qin Luo snorted coldly. A large flaming saber appeared in his hand as he charged forward. The only thing he could do now was face the two of them head-on, and then draw them out of the sealed area of the land of divine demise. Otherwise, being restricted by the seal, it was difficult for him to fully display his strength. Bang! In an instant, saber light and sword shadow, the blazing saber light slashed at the enormous devil Qi. Even though he was restricted by the seal, Qin Luo wasn't at a disadvantage against the two ancient god sovereigns. He was still able to deal with their joint attacks with ease. Bang! Boom! Boom! The surrounding void constantly shattered. Three figures constantly flashed through the void. The white-haired Sword Saint and the black flame demon god were smart. Every time Qin Luo wanted to draw them out of the sealed area, they would stop. It seemed like they knew that only by keeping Qin Luo restricted by the seal would they have a chance to deal with him. Otherwise, once Qin Luo lost his scruples, he would probably be able to defeat them one by one. Myriad sword formation. In the sky, there was a black light. The white-haired Sword Saint raised his cold sword. In an instant, countless sword chi with black light appeared. As the white-haired Sword Saint swung his sword, it created a sonic boom as it attacked Qin Luo. At the same time, the black flame demon god also activated the devil chi that filled the sky and attacked Qin Luo. However, facing such a situation, Qin Luo appeared extremely calm. The saber in his hand was instantly engulfed in a layer of blazing divine flame. The saber trembled and instantly transformed into a 10,000-meter-long flaming saber shadow as it slashed down. This saber seemed to split the sky. Bang! 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 The 10,000 sword chi was instantly torn apart. The devil chi was also devoured by the divine flame. The sky instantly quietened down. That's it. Qin Luo raised his flaming saber and looked at the two ancient sovereigns with disdain. He was a 5-star ancient sovereign. Damn it! The power of the seal is really heartless. If not for the seal, I would have already killed the two of you. Qin Luo cursed. Clap, clap, clap. At this moment, the white-haired Sword Saint actually clapped his hands. The corners of his mouth lifted into a meaningful smile. He looked at Qin Luo and said, You are indeed the famous god of cursing for 1,000,000 years. You are indeed powerful. I'm afraid only the most ancient existences in the ancient god cloud diagram can fight you head-on. But it's a pity that you are currently restricted by the seal. Moreover, it's not as simple as the seal, right? The white-haired sword saint's eyes flashed with a playful look. He looked at the land of divine perdition behind Qin Luo. I think there should be another person in the seal, right? Moreover, if I'm not wrong, she should be your wife? Huh. Hearing this, Qin Luo narrowed his eyes and subconsciously leaned toward the seal. It seems some filthy things have infiltrated the fire domain. It seems that the news is correct. Now, we don't have to go through so much trouble. Seeing this, the white-haired sword saint couldn't help but curl his lips. At this moment, he and demon god Black Flame's eyes fell behind Qin Luo. Clearly, their target was very clear. It was the land of divine perdition. Their goal was to destroy the seal. Now, they could destroy the seal and restrain Qin Luo. Why not? Qin Luo's expression gradually became serious. He held the divine flame saber tighter in his hand. Only he knew what the land of divine perdition represented. He also knew that the seal must not be destroyed. At this moment, all was silent. The three of them fixed their eyes on each other. They were all looking for an opportunity to attack. Tisk, tisk. Suddenly, at this moment, a hearty laugh involuntarily rang out. Isn't this Uncle Qin? We haven't seen each other for millions of years. How did you become so shitty? Huh. Shitty. How dare you scold me? Huh. F***CK. It's you, you heartless brat. Hearing this, Qin Luo instantly cursed. However, when he turned his head, he was instantly overjoyed. He saw, behind Qin Luo, a black-clad young man stepped out of the void. He had a bright smile on his face as he looked at the three people present. Hey, Uncle Qin. It's been a long time. Chapter 678. The white-haired sword saint and demon god Black Flame were both stunned by Ning Tian's appearance. Then, a solemn look flashed in their eyes. This kid had a strange aura. They could not see through Ning Tian's strength at all. It seemed that they had to be careful. Kid, why are you here? Qin Luo glanced at Ning Tian and then glanced behind him before asking. The Nine Zones Tianma cult is in trouble. Of course, I have to come. Besides, I can't let you die, right? Although it doesn't matter much whether you die or not, Ning Tian said honestly. If Qin Luo died, how sad would his wife be? Qin Luo rolled his eyes. You stinking brat. You're so King heartless. This kid. Why does he look so familiar? The white-haired sword saint's gaze fell on Ning Tian. He could not help but frown. After pondering for a moment, he immediately reacted. His eyes flashed fiercely. So it's you, kid. You know me? So, there are fans of mine in the ancient god cloud map. Ning Tian looked at him with a smile. I'm your fan. You think you're worthy? The white-haired sword saint roared. His eyes flashed fiercely. You killed my son, destroyed my sect, and lied about being from the virtual god palace. You killed my sword god doppelganger. You're courting death. Destroyed your sect? Lied about being from the virtual god palace? Upon hearing the white-haired sword saint's words, Ning Tian raised his eyebrows. He had destroyed so many sections. He might not know who they were, but he had some impression of lying about the virtual god palace incident. You're the sword god of 10,000 swords? He looked at the white-haired sword saint. That's right. The sword god of 10,000 swords he was talking about was the god realm expert behind the 10,000 swords sect that he had used a sect extermination card to destroy in the firmament territory. Back then, when the sword god of 10,000 swords Phantom had just descended to the firmament territory, he had shattered it with a slap. So, the sword god of 10,000 swords is this strong? He has the strength of an ancient god? Ning Tian raised his eyebrows and muttered to himself. That's not right. Sword god of 10,000 swords is probably just one of your clones, isn't it? Ning Tian looked at the white-haired sword saint and said indifferently, "According to the old voids of the virtual god palace, the god of swords had taken the initiative to look for them in the divine territory. He had beaten them black and blue, but he had not been able to kill them. If the god of swords was an ancient god, the virtual god palace would have been destroyed a long time ago. Since the virtual god palace still existed, it meant that the god of swords was merely a clone of the white-haired sword saint." "Humph. Yes. Those old fellows from the empty god palace dared to destroy my clone. After this matter is over, I will personally destroy the empty god palace." The white-haired sword saint snorted coldly. "What a pity. I'm afraid you won't be able to return." The corners of Ning Tian's mouth rose slightly. He then looked at Qin Luo and chuckled. "Uncle Qin, leave this white-haired sword saint to me? What do you think?" Little Ning, this guy is an ancient god sovereign. You." Qin Luo frowned. He seemed to have seen through Ning Tian's strength and was a little hesitant. "Don't worry. I have confidence." Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile, her expression calm. "Okay, don't die. Once I kill this black flame, I will come and help you." Qin Luo nodded. The divine flame saber in his hand was already thirsting for blood. He grinned and looked at the demon god Black Flame. The demon god Black Flame swallowed his saliva in fear. He alone was not Qin Luo's match. It was over. Was he really going to be killed today? Ha ha ha. I haven't killed demons in a long time. Finally, I can satisfy my craving. Qin Luo laughed loudly. Then, he raised the divine flame saber in his hand and charged at the demon god Black Flame. At the side, the demon god Black Flame screamed in fear. Without the white-haired sword saint's help, the demon god Black Flame alone was no match for Qin Luo, even with the power of dark turmoil. It was only a matter of time before he won. "Kid, although I can't see through your strength, you are definitely not my match." Tens of thousands of swords appeared behind the white-haired sword saint. He looked at Ning Tian indifferently. "A few years ago, you destroyed the phantom of my myriad sword god with a single palm strike. No matter how strong you were at that time, you were only at the demigod realm. Now that a few years have passed, no matter how talented you are probably only at the heavenly god realm. A mere heavenly god, not even a supreme ancient god. How can you be my match?" Even as the demon god Black Flame cursed, the white-haired sword saint was unmoved. Because he knew. He only needed one strike to kill this kid. One strike was enough. "Oh, your analysis is very reasonable. In terms of strength, I am indeed no match for you." Ning Tian chuckled and said nonchalantly, "I didn't expect you to be so self-aware." The white-haired sword saint raised the sword in his hand. Tens of thousands of sword intents followed behind him. Then, go to hell. As his emotionless and indifferent words fell, he swung his sword. "In terms of strength, I am indeed no match for you. But it's a pity." A faint light flashed through Ning Tian's eyes when he saw the 10,000 swords. His expression was extremely calm. He waved his hand, and the space before him rippled. A pitch-black stone statue stood in front of him. That was the ancestral stone statue he took from the 10,000 spirits demon nest. "I'll show you how frightening a million years of faith can be. I'm not fighting alone, but the entire heavenly demon cult." Ning Tian's lips curled up slightly as she muttered, "Use faith of light." The sound faded. Boom. In an instant, the ancestral stone statue emitted a dazzling golden light that illuminated the entire world. The tens of thousands of sword intents also dimmed and dissipated under this golden light. It is indeed effective. Fortunately, I took this stone statue with me. Seeing this scene, Ning Tian heaved a sigh of relief. His greatest assurance was this ancestral stone statue. The reward he received before, Ancestral Master's Faith, could release all the faith in objects that contain the power of faith. The stone statue he took away from the 10,000 spirits demon nest contained the faith of the Tianma cult of the divine domain for 1,000,000 years. When this power of faith was used together with the faith of light, He could even fight against a sovereign realm ancient god. Boom. In an instant, all the golden light poured into Ning Tian's body. The power surged and was extremely terrifying. Looking at the golden light emitted by Ning Tian's body, the white-haired sword saint's expression turned serious. Cold sweat trickled down his body. He felt that he was not facing one person, but thousands of people. This kid, how strange. His aura is actually infinitely close to this god's. His heart trembled violently. While the white-haired sword saint was secretly shocked, the system's voice rang in Ning Tian's mind again. He was going to cheat. Chapter 679. You have shocked the white-haired sword saint. Reward, God Realm Sword Dao Martial Art, Divine Will Judgment. In his mind, the system's voice sounded. Ning Tian just silently noted it down and ignored it. At this moment, a ball of power was gradually awakening in his hand. That was ethereal power. Don't forget, the ethereal power could temporarily increase one's strength. As Ning Tian was afraid that he couldn't defeat the white-haired sword saint, he wanted to use a few more cheats so that he could kill the white-haired sword saint in one move. Since he had already used cheats, he didn't mind using a few more. This was a form of respect for the white-haired sword saint. If the white-haired sword saint knew about Ning Tian's thoughts, he would probably curse him and beg him to humiliate him. He didn't want this kind of respect. I can't drag this out any longer. This kid's aura is still rising. Looking at Ning Tian's soaring aura, the white-haired sword saint was very nervous. He gritted his teeth and instantly made a decision. Sword intent flashed in his hand as he shouted, "Sword intent, kill!" A sword attack with 3,000 layers of sword intent swept over. Your sword is too weak. Ning Tian shook his head. Then, the red cloud sword appeared in his hand. It was the first time he used a kitchen treasure against a sovereign realm ancient god. Facing the white-haired sword saint's sword, his eyes flashed and his expression was calm. The white-haired sword saint's sword was full of flaws in his eyes. Although he was called a sword saint, don't forget that Ning Tian's second senior brother, Dustless, was a swordsman. Dustless sword art. Silent sword fall. Ning Tian said indifferently. His body was flashing with golden light. At this moment, under the support of the ethereal aura, he became even stronger. He raised his sword and gently waved it. Boom. In an instant, the sword intent was raging and whistling. But this sword was silent. Although it was silent, its speed was shocking. In an instant, the two sword intents collided. The murderous sword intent and the calm sword intent collided. However, the result was completely different. The silent sword intent swept over and destroyed the sword intent completely. Then, it charged towards the white-haired sword saint. What? The white-haired sword saint exclaimed. He stepped into the void and wanted to dodge. Sorry, space is my territory. The corners of Ning Tian's lips curled up. He lifted his hand, and the space laws erupted. His palm slammed down and the white-haired sword saint was actually pushed out of the void. At the same time, Ning Tian controlled the space laws to form a giant hand that grabbed onto the soundless sword intent and slashed at the white-haired sword saint. The soundless sword intent was already astonishingly fast, and now it even had the ability to lock the opponent's head. How could the white-haired sword saint dodge this? Pooh! An X-shaped wound instantly appeared on the white-haired sword saint's body. His flesh was badly mangled, and the sword intent continued to wreak havoc within his body. What is this? The white-haired sword saint looked at the wound on his chest in horror. It was covered in blood, and he could even see a black heart beating. But this was not the most important thing. What terrified him was black smoke was spreading from the wound. This black aura was filled with the aura of death. It was as if it wanted to devour all life. Despicable. The sword intent is poisonous. The white-haired sword saint exclaimed. Poison? Hearing this, Ning Tian chuckled and did not say anything. This was not poison. It was just a little bit of the aura of death. Humph. The white-haired sword Saint snorted coldly. Then, a strange black aura flowed out from his hand. He slammed his palm on his chest, and the aura of death that was attached to the sword intent was actually forced out by his palm. This aura, seeing the aura that the white-haired sword saint had just used, Ning Tian's eyes flashed with a sharp light. This energy should be the energy that the ancient god Cloud Atlas had researched. The energy that the white-haired sword saint used was clearly much denser than sky ice's. But why did the unknown tree react? That's right. When the white-haired sword saint used that strange black aura, Jiang Yi sensed that the unknown tree in the small world in his dantian had a desire. Could it be the energy that they used is the same as the energy that the unknown tree absorbed in the sealed land? Is there a connection? Ning Tian frowned. He had a vague guess in his heart. Dustless sword art, you are from the heavenly palace. In this world, only he can defeat my sword art. The white-haired sword saint's eyes were filled with shock. You have shocked the white-haired sword saint again. Reward, Sword Dao God. At this moment, the white-haired sword saint finally strengthened Ning Tian personally. When the system's voice fell, Ning Tian's robe fluttered. The sword intent kept surging. Even the surrounding air was cut by the sword intent. 3,000 Great Dao. It was an evolution under the law. When the Dao reached the extreme, it was the saint. Above the saint was the god. At this moment, Ning Tian raised the kitchen artifact in his hand. It was as if he was one with the sword. He looked at the white-haired sword saint calmly and grinned. White-haired sword saint, thank you. The white-haired sword saint. Damn, this kid. Why did his sword intent suddenly strengthen so much? He was shocked. You have shocked the white-haired sword saint again. Red Cloud Sword has been upgraded. In his mind, the system's voice sounded again. He saw the red cloud sword in Ning Tian's hand flashed and became sharper. Hiss! This time, even the sword has become stronger. The white-haired sword saint widened his eyes. You again. The next attack, the sword intent move, will display 200% of its power. The system's voice fell again. Ning Tian. This white-haired sword saint. Did he want to die so much? It would be fine if he was not shocked. The more shocked he was, the closer he was to death. Damn it, to be able to defeat me with sword intent. Since ancient times, only Wu Chan can do it. As for the others, this god will not admit it. The white-haired sword saint did not know that he had strengthened Ning Tian so much. He gritted his teeth and looked at Ning Tian fiercely. He raised the white sword in his hand and said word by word, I will let you experience this god's strongest move, the myriad sword technique. The voice fell. The sword intent behind the white-haired sword saint whistled and turned into tens of thousands of sharp swords. Each sword contained 1/10 of his power. He was going to use this move. He was going to kill Ning Tian. Grandma Li, white hair, are you done yet? This demonic god can't take it anymore. This Qin Luo is shameless. He keeps chopping off this demonic god's lower body. He wants this demonic god to die without descendants. At the side, the demonic god Black Flame screamed. Soon, this sword will decide your life and death. The white-haired sword saint looked indifferent. He swung his sword and instantly, tens of thousands of sword intents appeared. This is called myriad sword? Seeing this scene, Ning Tian's lips curled up slightly. He looked at the white-haired sword saint mockingly. Huh. The white-haired sword saint was taken aback. He looked at Ning Tian's mocking face and suddenly felt that something was wrong. At this moment, he felt the endless sword intents around him. This is? His pupils suddenly shrank. In the sky, tens of thousands, no, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of Ning Tian appeared, and each of them held a scarlet heaven sword. 2 more chapters. Continue writing. Chapter 680. This was the advantage of the ethereal doppelganger. What was the art of 10,000 swords? Ning Tian used his actions to tell the white-haired sword saint that the tens of thousands of sword intents were not the real art of 10,000 swords, but The tens of thousands of himself holding the sword was the real art of 10,000 swords. I'm sorry. I only wanted to create 10,000 sword avatars, but I didn't expect to be so strong that I could create a few million sword avatars. Ning Tian scratched his head and looked at the white-haired sword saint apologetically. Don't worry. At most, each sword avatar will slash you once. The white-haired sword saint's mouth twitched. He gritted his teeth and stared at Ning Tian. Kid, if apologies are useful then, oh, apologies are useless? Then don't bother. Just slash me. However, before the white-haired sword saint could finish his words, Ning Tian casually interrupted him. He waved his hand casually and millions of Ning Tian's sword intents engulfed the white-haired sword saint. The 10,000 swords that the white-haired sword saint was so proud of were instantly shattered. I have one sword that is enough to destroy you. Divine will adjudication. Ning Tian's expression gradually became indifferent. His sword intent whizzed as though he was one with the sword. He raised the sword in his hand and swung it down. Golden light and sword intent engulfed the surroundings. At the same time, millions of figures in the sky did the same. 200% power explosion. No, the only thing that can defeat me is Wu Qin's sword art. The white-haired sword saint's face instantly turned pale. Of course, because this is not a sword art. My sword art is only for cooking. You don't deserve to die under my sword art. After all, you can't eat. Ning Tian's lips curled up slightly as he chuckled. What? The white-haired sword saint's pupil shrank. His eyes were filled with humiliation. But, at this moment, he had no strength to resist. The white-haired sword saint let out a blood-curdling scream. His body was instantly enveloped by millions of sword lights. At this moment, the white-haired sword saint died peacefully. Not only was his physical body destroyed, even his soul was destroyed. Then, in the future, he would make things difficult for a certain white-robed girl in the Earth spirit world. After all, it was indeed a difficult task to collect a soul that had been shattered into millions of pieces. When the white-haired sword saint left peacefully, a strange black aura burst out from his body, intending to shoot in a certain direction. Seeing this scene, Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. Then, he directly used the absorption power of the unknown tree. The black gas seemed to be uncontrollable and directly flew toward Ning Tian. Then, it was sucked into the unknown tree in the small world of his Dantian. After absorbing the energy, the unknown tree flashed with a stream of light. It is indeed a familiar power, Ning Tian murmured. It seems that the white-haired sword saint did not fully control the power of darkness. He was borrowing it. This power has a strengthening effect on the unknown tree. I have to get more of it. A glint flashed across Ning Tian's eyes. Then, his gaze fell on demon god Black Flame, who was being chased by Qin Luo with his divine flame saber. If he was not mistaken, this demon god should also possess such power. On the side, Qin Luo, damn you. This demon god curses your son to have no asshole. Demon god Black Flame's body was covered with wounds. Even his thigh, the place closest to his dignity, had a cut. The wound was so deep that even the demonic aura could not cover it. Haha, I don't have a son, only a daughter. She is also a great beauty. Ha ha ha. Qin Luo laughed coarsely, his shifty eyes staring at demon god He Yan's crotch. Demon god He Yan couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. He was a dignified ancient god sovereign, so how could he endure such humiliation? Haha, eat my saber. The divine flame saber in Qin Luo's hand flashed. He was about to strike. However, at this moment, Ning Tian's voice sounded from the side. Uncle Qin, hee, snatch your head. As soon as his voice faded, thousands of swords flew over and instantly sent demon god Black Flame away. Demon god Black Flame did not expect that he would be so popular that there would be people vying to kill him. Hee, that's good stuff. Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile. Then, under Qin Luo's dumbfounded gaze, He waved his hand and used the heart of the demon to absorb all the demonic aura from demon god Black Flame's body. The power of darkness was also completely absorbed by the unknown tree. Damn, little brat Ning, you really killed him. You are so heartless. I haven't had my fill yet. It's boring to stay in this seal every day. On the side, Qin Luo cursed and scolded Ning Tian for snatching his head. Haha, Uncle Qin, we are not snatching. We are just doing it in passing. Ning Tian laughed out loud. Huh, why do these words sound so familiar? Qin Luo scratched his head. Husband. At this moment, a voice sounded in the sky. Two beautiful figures stepped out of the void and appeared in front of Ning Tian and Qin Luo with a trace of anxiety. After Luo Wuqing and Sui Weiyao dealt with the Tianma cult, they sensed the terrifying energy here. Because they were too worried about Ning Tian, they rushed over. Hey, isn't this my precious daughter? When Qin Luo heard the voice from the sky, he looked over and his eyes instantly lit up. Fa, father? Luo Wuqing froze for a moment, and a trace of mist appeared in her beautiful eyes. Even the cold empress could not control her longing for her father. It was human nature. Haha, you have grown so big. Come on, let me take a good look. Qin Luo's face was covered in tears and snot. In a flash, he wanted to hug Luo Wuqing in his arms. Father, I missed you so much. However, without waiting for Qin Luo to hug Luo Wuqing, Ning Tian burrowed into Qin Luo's arms with tears and snot, hugging him tightly. Qin Luo froze for a moment. Who the hell is your father? You heartless brat. Don't King disgust me. I don't have a son as big as you. Yes, I am a heartless brat. Ning Tian grinned and secretly wiped his snot on Qin Luo's body. Then he let go of Qin Luo and pulled Luo Wuqing over. He generously held her hand and said, Father, look, isn't this your daughter? Yes, but what does this have to do with you? Qin Luo was still in a daze. Of course it has to do with me. After all, I am your precious daughter's husband. Am I right, father? Father? Ning Tian chuckled. Qin Luo's head was full of question marks. What the F***ck? Being addressed as father should be a joyous thing. However, as he looked at that damned brat Ning Tian hugging his precious daughter, Qin Luo suddenly realized why heavenly deity Shangsun had looked at him with such ferocious eyes back then. There is still one more update. I won't be able to finish it before 12 o'clock. Let's go eat first. I won't miss this update. I will finish it even if I stay up late. Chapter 681. You too, really? The corner of Qin Luo's mouth twitched as he looked at the two people hugging each other. Hee. Father, what do you think? Ning Tian hugged Luo Wuqing generously and looked at Qin Luo proudly. He called Qin Luo father, so intimately that he wished he could lie beside Qin Luo's ear and whisper father. Brat, did I ask you a question? Qin Luo glared at Ning Tian. Seeing this brat hugging his daughter's hand, he felt that he could no longer control his divine flame saber. He really wanted to chop off this pervert's hand. My precious daughter, do you think the two of you are really like what this brat said? Let me say this first. If this is really the case, don't blame your father for crying in front of you. Qin Luo looked at Luo Wuqing pitifully. Ning Tian finally understood that the Luo clan was a family of con men. Shengyang God was a granddaughter con man, Qin Luo was a daughter con man, and Luo Wuqing was a husband con man. This was ridiculous. Father, Luo Wuqing took a deep breath. Her cold face was full of seriousness. She looked at Ning Tian with some emotions in her eyes and said very seriously, Father, Ning Tian is my husband. Her words were not only affirming that Ning Tian was her husband, but also, her husband could only be Ning Tian. Seeing the stubborn look in his daughter's eyes, Qin Luo opened his mouth. He naturally knew his daughter's temper. After all, she had a little temper. Just let her be. Sigh. Qin Luo sighed and pursed his lips. I didn't say that I want to break up the two of you. Why are you so serious? Besides, Even if I don't agree, Ning Tian will definitely summon his precious disciple, Ling Ling. The master and disciple will definitely beat me up. I can't beat them. Hearing this, Luo Wuqing couldn't help but laugh. The ice-cold empress finally revealed a light smile in front of her loved ones. It was like a beautiful flower blooming in ice. Looking at Ning Tian hugging his baby daughter, Qin Luo's heart became complicated at this moment. Originally, he thought that Ning Tian was quite handsome, but now in his eyes, Ning Tian was a pig, at most a handsome pig. The most ridiculous thing was, I treated him like a brother, but this dog actually dared to steal my daughter. Qin Luo felt a lump in his throat. Men cry. Crying is not a sin. At this moment, a quiet voice sounded from Ning Tian's mouth. Qin Luo, the two girls. Ah, smelly brat, I'm going to fight it out with you. You heartless brat. Qin Luo was already in a state of madness. To think that I, your father, have missed you for 1,000,000 years. As soon as we met, you took my precious daughter. Damn you. Father, I'm indeed heartless, but I'm very fragrant. Why don't you ask my wife? Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile. Smelly brat, you forced me to do this. Qin Luo rolled up his sleeves. Oh, I'd like to see what tricks you have up your sleeve. Ning Tian let go of his wife. Not to be outdone, he would fight it out with him. Bang! Their foreheads were tightly pressed together. Their faces were very ferocious as they glared at each other. My son, father, son, father, son, father, son. Their foreheads were pressed together as they spat saliva at each other. One called him father, while the other called him son. However, Qin Luo should have had a huge advantage by calling him son, but as time passed, he became more and more aggrieved. On the other hand, Ning Tian called him father more and more smoothly. Anyway, to Ning Tian, he had taken advantage of Qin Luo. It didn't matter if Qin Luo called him father a few times. Anyway, in terms of seniority, Qin Luo was indeed his father-in-law. However, to Qin Luo, no matter how he called him, he would lose blood. Smelly brat, damn it, you're really shameless. Qin Luo gritted his teeth, then wiped the saliva off his face and glared at Ning Tian. Ning brat, come here, I have something to say to you. That look was very fierce, as if there was an irreconcilable hatred between them. Seeing Ning Tian being pulled aside by Qin Luo, the two women couldn't help but frown. They were a little worried. Sui Weiyao tugged at Luo Wuqing beside her and whispered, Wuqing, your father looks so fierce. He won't attack our husband, right? I don't think so. Luo Wuqing frowned. Although she said so, she was still a little worried. She quickly pulled Sui Weiyao over. These two men were very important to her. She didn't want them to fight. However, when the two women approached, they heard this conversation. Smelly brat, you've taken advantage of me. You can marry my precious daughter, but you have to pay more. Qin Luo stared fiercely at Ning Tian and seriously sold his daughter out. Good guy. A big scene of cheating his daughter. At the side, Luo Wuqing's pretty face turned cold. The empress was speechless. Oh? Ning Tian raised his eyebrows, then pulled the two women into his arms and looked at Qin Luo with a smile. Dad, I remember you said that if I have two wives, you'll write your name backwards, right? Dad, you can't be so dishonest, right? You. Qin Luo's old face darkened. He was about to act shamelessly, but he heard Ning Tian snort again. What kind of man are you? Hiss, smelly brat, you win. You tricked me, you tramp. Qin Luo wanted to cry but had no tears. Speak. What do you want? Well, Dad, don't take my betrothal gift money, Ning Tian said with a smile. Damn it, you want to get a free meal. Qin Luo scolded angrily. Not only did he lose his daughter, but he also didn't get a single cent. A huge loss. A huge loss. At the side, Ning Tian, who saved a lot of money, was grinning from ear to ear. Instead of giving it to Qin Luo, he might as well use the money to buy a few super artifact clothes for his two wives. Oh right, where's mother-in-law? Ning Tian thought of something at this time and looked at Qin Luo. Luo Wuqing's mother should be the rich woman that Qin Luo was talking about back then. At the side, Luo Wuqing's beautiful eyes flashed with nervousness and anticipation when she heard this. She quickly looked over. Qin Luo's expression was complicated. After a moment of silence, he looked at the entrance of the land of God's demise behind him and sighed. He looked at the three of them and said, "Come with me. Once you enter, you'll know." Okay. Hearing this, Ning Tian and the other two nodded heavily and followed Qin Luo to the land of God's demise tribulation. 5:00. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.